Houthis. So it's not just about freeing the Persian people, which I hope happens, but it's also about giving some peace to that region that historically has no peace. It has to stop. Everybody's heard me say for years now, we got to have a regime change in that country for there to be even a chance of peace in that region, right? October 7th wasn't just a fluke. October 7th was because Israel was going to get recognized by Saudi Arabia. And they were like, no, we're not having that. But let me go to Sabina, and then we're gonna go popcorn style. Sabina, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I got you, Hader. Get Sabina.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I wanted to make comments on the Trump, the pressure under Trump with the America First people. I don't know if everyone, have you seen the interview with Ted Cruz and sorry, what's his name? Tucker
Carlson, yes.
Yes, yeah. So there's a whole group of people within MAGA who believe America First, and what I think is so confusing is that they make it seem as if America's like Sweden that had like that has been neutral in all the conflicts in the Middle East. It's been in all the conflicts and is still in. And when not Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz actually said we. Someone got mad at him, like, oh, why are you saying we? Because he said we in terms of Israel and America together, right? And I don't understand what the American First people are trying to do, try to unwind, because Americans involved in the Middle East, it always has been. So to me, I just think it's a bit bizarre that you have this group of people and now they're attacking Tulsi because Tulsi said that she's seen intel. And by the way, people change their mind, right, based off evidence. That's what rational people do. So she's seen evidence that there are, development of nuclear weapons and that they can be maybe a few weeks away, right? And so she said, for that reason, I support America, getting involved now. And now people, all those people are now having a backlash, like, this is not our war. No, it is your war because you played a role in all of these issues. There's a lot of Iranians who even blame America for putting Khomeini in power, right, during Carter's time. So that's all I want to share. I just don't think that the America First thing makes any sense. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabina. Appreciate you. So I'm going to go to Hader. Hader, I called on you 5 times already. You there?
No, I was busy. Sorry about that, man.
Hold on. Butters, you can go after Hader, then we're going to go to Cogito. Yeah, Hader.
Yeah, look, this whole idea of regime change is really suicidal. Okay, I don't think regime change is going to work in Iran. It hasn't worked in Libya. It hasn't worked in Afghanistan. It hasn't worked in Iraq. So we already know the result of what regime change is. Now, people in the audience don't know this. Maybe some of them know, but Iran is not only Persian, right? Persian is about 60%, about 55 to 60%. You have Kurds, you have Azeris, you have Arabs, you have Malojis, you have all these other groups, right? That is beyond Shia and Sunni division in Iran. Right now, if you look at the leadership, it's kind of mixed up. So the supreme leader is actually
Hader. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's a very, very simple question, right?
Yes.
Do you consider this regime in power right now as a murderous regime?
So I'm from the global south. So I'm going to take the position of the Russian and Chinese government. That's the position I'm going to take. And that position is we do not want to crumble this regime and create refugee and suffering and more suffering more than this region deserves, right? The Middle East is already in it's a cake basket. It's a cake basket, right? It's basket cake, whatever.
Listen, man. Bro, I'm calling cap on everything you're saying. This government's let me finish, bro. You don't have to give me up. We can have the dialogue. But not only is this government murderous to its own people, they are sponsoring terrorism throughout that region. So when you say I take the side of Russia and China, man, you got to take those blinders off. This regime right here is the main problem in that region, and that's a fact. But please, Langer.
No. So what is the alternative? You see, we have to look into the alternative, right? The alternative is a lot worse than what we have right now. Okay, already Viktor Orban, the Hungarian president, already talked to Trump, and he said, you know what? I do not want refugees in my country, dude. The Europeans are not concerned about refugees, right? So So they already had enough refugees from Iraq, from Libya, from Syria in the last 15, 20 years. They don't want to deal with that, right? So what the argument, especially the Russian government is making, and to some extent the money countries in the global south, right?
Let me ask you a question respectfully.
Yeah.
Do you hear what you're saying? You support Russia, a terrorist supporter. You support China. You support this IRGC. Do you hear what you're saying?
I don't support Iran. No, I don't support Iran. I think what I'm telling you is the regime is bad, which we already know is bad. But what is the alternative, man? The alternative is going to be civil war, chaos, and refugee migration. Just going to be death and destruction. Let me
ask you. Okay, and I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with you. That's just my opinion, right? I'm not a geopolitical expert. I'm not one of those pseudo-intellectuals. But what I know of Persian people, let me tell you something. Once this regime is topped, they're probably going to be some of the most united people on this planet because they've been through this shit for 46 years. They're not going to want chaos and civil war. They're not going to flee their country. They're going to rebuild it into the power that it should be. So everything you're saying, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. So hold on, guys. Everybody hold on. Hey, hold on a second, because I got so many speakers on stage. So I told Butters Marsha, I got you, Marsha. I told Butters she can go next. I'm going to go Butters, Marsha, Sarah, and I'll come back around to everybody else. Butters, good morning.
Good morning. I've been listening for a while doing household things. I like the way that you control your stage. Even if there's some bias, you still let people rock and talk. So this is a good segue from what Haydar just was saying. So my question is to any Zionists that are listening, not Jews, Zionists. I'm purposely separating this question for those that consider themselves Zionists. What has gone on in Syria, that is a regime change that you see, is now led by Al-Qaeda. So at one point, I thought Al-Qaeda was America's not friend. Now, seems like through proxies, we're working with Al-Qaeda and letting certain things happen. I saw Benjamin Netanyahu go and show a map of what was looking like a greater Israel project. And so I want to know, is that the end game for Iran? If there's a regime change, you want to include them in the greater Israel project as a Zionist? And are we supposed to also work with more Al-Qaeda?
Well, let me just say this. Thank you for your compliment on how I run my room. Please cash in your pink ticket. I'll let Mickey. Mickey, do you want to answer her question?
Is that person a Zionist?
100% he's a Zionist.
Okay, great.
Mickey, do you want to answer the question?
To be honest, JB, I'm not going to entertain ridiculous.
Okay, any other Zionists want to answer?
Is it ridiculous? Why is it ridiculous? Let's find out.
Butters, I got somebody that wants to respond. Marsha, go ahead, Marsha.
Yeah, I can answer her and also Haydar, not as a Zionist, but as a Persian. So what Haydar has said was exactly the propaganda of IRGC. They are telling us for 46 years that if there is a regime change in Iran, then there will be chaos. And they have been telling us during the past years that look at Libya, look at Syria, look at Iraq, this will be the future of you. But that's not the case. But because Iran is not Syria, Iran is not Libya, we are a united nation. And culturally, we are different from the Arab countries and from Libya, from Iraq, and from Syria. So this thing will never happen in Iran. And the other thing, the fact that you say that I don't support regime change, what do you say to my question? One of the last times that Iranian people came to streets peacefully begging for their freedom, asking for their freedom, the regime and IRGC killed 1,500 of them in 2 days. And according to some reports, up to 3,000 of the people in the streets. Is it not a chaos? What do you call this?
Who was she talking to? Because I asked the question and I thought there was supposed to be somebody who was
okay. Hold on. Let me ask you a question before I'll answer your question. But let me ask you this, Sarah. I got you. What is your definition of a Zionist, Butters? What do you think a Zionist is?
Well, my own president, my past president, said you don't have to be Jewish to be one. And then he explained perfectly what exactly that is. And everyone in America has that definition through Biden, which means that they are proud Zionists that are not Jewish. So I was not speaking to anyone necessarily because of their religion. And I think we all here.
So a Zionist is somebody who supports Israel's right to exist. That's exactly the definition.
That's not the only portion of it.
Okay, what's the other portion? Then tell me, teach me.
The other portions of being a Zionist has to do with relating biblical things.
That's not true.
How are you going to tell me they do relate biblical things to it? What do you mean? You don't have to be religious to know this.
Okay.
But they pull from biblical things to expose why they would need to be expansive in that region. It's their so-called
So wait. So let me ask you this. So basically, Israel went into Gaza because it was about land.
I'm not talking about Gaza, Lev.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Greater Israel Project. So that's what I'd like to,
So
make sure that
your definition isn't correct? What if your definition isn't correct?
Amy, can I answer her?
It can be whatever you want it to be. I don't have a problem with talking about the Greater Israel Project, which is what I came to ask about.
Butters. When you say it could be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, because I don't want to argue with him, love.
Okay, you don't have to argue with him. But here's the thing: when you say something like that, it says to me that no matter what definition he gives, you're not going to accept it anyway.
I never argued with anybody's definition. They're asking me about mine. I told you what I thought, and now that we're on the same page with whatever it may be to everybody, that Greater Israel Project that BB went there with the map and showed, now that there'll be a regime change in the next place that we've moved on to, because our peoples in America sat around and talked about regime change in different. Let me finish, love. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him, and he went there with the map. No, you're wasting your time with your mic open. I'm not talking to you, love. Let me talk to who I'm speaking to. They're listening. You don't have to. Close your ears.
You're lying.
So when he went there with the map, he basically showed what he would like to do. And if there's going to be regime change in Iran, is that going to, my question was, what's next is what Haydar was asking. So what I'm saying is that going to be a part of the game plan?
No,
to put out
Sarah, I got you, Sarah. Hold on a second, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Put a link in the chat with this Greater Israel Project.
Sure,
I want to take a piece. But I also want to go to Sarah, who I'm sure she's going to push back. Hello, Sarah. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, JB. I actually specifically came on the stage to talk about the part. I don't know people who say if you topple the regime in Iran, there's going to be another Syria, Iraq, Libya. I don't know if they're uneducated or they just, because I've seen some educated people, fall for that propaganda. So I don't know what is the situation, why people repeating that. So I actually had to go look the history of Sharia law. I'm not kidding you, because I have no idea what's going on in Libya. Like, I don't care about every country in the world. I had to go look and see what is the common and differences between Iran and these countries and Sharia law and how long Islam has been, part of their government. So Syria, Libya, Iraq, they've had Sharia law since the 7th century. That's over 1,500 years, people. 1,500 years. Of course, it's going to be difficult to remove Islam from the politics in those countries. Iran, on the other hand, they've only had Sharia law, Islam in the government combined in the last 46 years. Iran has a culture of 7,000 years. Iran has been around for 7,000 years. It's always been a monarchy. Now, I don't even support monarchy. But for people to try to use the fact that Libya and Syria and Iraq ended up in civil war, so Iran's going to have the same thing, is the dumbest argument ever. Because look, Iranian people were supporting and were pro-IRGC when they came along. And just imagine how fucked up the whole Sharia law is, that within 46 years, they have lost 90% of their supporters. True or false, they claim their support was like 98% or something like that after the revolution. But what happened is people separate themselves. And just look around. Look around. Why do Iranians not go fight Israel? Why do Iranians don't go bomb and kill innocent people? Because Iranians are not associating themselves, and they don't like any of this that IRGC is pushing on it. That's why IRGC goes funds and train in other countries. It's simple as that. So stop, please stop going on different stages and say, oh, we don't want refugees. We don't want this. The other day, someone's like, Iranians are going to come refugees in Pakistan. Look, Iranians might be racist for thinking they're better than other people, but let me be clear about something. Even if there is a war in Iran, no one's going to go try to become a refugee of Pakistan or Russia. I don't know where people come up with all this stupid things.
Thank you, Sarah.
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Hold
and
on.
let me give one.
JB?
Can you wait a second till she's finished?
Yeah.
We'll land our plane. Thank you. Sarah, you land your plane?
I was going to say one sentence in Butter's response as an Iranian Zionist. There is no such a thing. Israel is not trying to take over Iran. You guys, this is the propaganda of IRGC, and these people are just going around and spreading it. Just shut the fuck up. Why are Iranians not scared of that?
Fuck up.
That was about 15 sentences, but since you're Sarah, I let it go. But before I go to the next speaker, I have to say good morning to my man, King 334 Mob.
Yes, sir. What's
King,
going on, brother? What's going on? Good morning.
Having a very spicy conversation on this Saturday morning. Israel versus IRGC. So I have a question before I go to the next speaker. Sabina, what's your smoke with Sarah? Sarah's definitely, she's a lot of things, but anti-Semitic. She's, hey, I got you, bro. Show a little mic control. I want to ask Sabina a question. Sabina.
Yeah, JB, she called me anti-Semitic, so I just said the same thing back. Because if she can just call me that, I can just call her right now.
Okay.
Because it doesn't mean anything.
Okay, so you're pulling pigtails. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
She's not a good representative for her own country because she's saying racist stuff. And then look, right now, Whoopi Goldberg was just saying right now, oh, America's very racist. Black people suffer in America, right? And she was saying that about comparing herself to Iran. Let me ask you a question. Why should American, Black, Hispanic, all these groups of people, why should they die for someone who clearly is racist? She literally just said we are superior to Pakistanis. I said you, ma'am. I said you. I didn't say Israel. I said you. JB, can I talk?
Sarah, let her finish.
Okay, so first of all, I didn't mention Israel, right? There are people who are not good representations for their own country, and you're one of them because you just said that, oh, we are not going to become, I wouldn't wish a civil war on any country, but for you to say that we're not going to be like those other countries because we're superior to them, you sound like a fucking idiot and racist, by the way.
I didn't say we're superior. I said we have not had Sharia laws in our country for 1,500 years. We've only had it for 40 years. If you want to hear it differently, that's for you. And that's why I call you anti-Semite, because you really are. And
based on what? Based on what?
Based on when I was saying that how Islam is behind all of this, you told me that your friend is looking for a virgin. Do I want to marry him as a fool?
I was trolling her because as soon as she found out, as soon as she said, excuse me, as soon as she,
do you hate Muslims?
Do you hate Muslims? Do you hate Muslims?
Your name every day, people don't.
Do you hate Muslims?
You are, and
do you hate Muslims?
Anti-Semite.
Do you hate Muslims?
Sarah, hold on a second.
No, JB, as soon as you see the language vulgar, gross. This is the problem. As soon as she found out I was Muslim, she started attacking me, and then we went back and forth. But if I respond to her, she decides to say that I'm this and I'm that. She doesn't like Muslims. She looks down on Arabs, and she just asking Israelis and waiting for them to damsel in distress to come save her and cheering them on. You're just a loser and not a good representation for your country.
Well, hold
Racist.
on. Everybody, hold on.
It looks like everybody enjoys my point of view.
Afghani people deserve to be killed, right? According to you, because they're Muslim.
Sabina, hold on a second. Please respect the stage. Thank you. I'm just going to say, listen, Sarah, you got to let me talk, hon. Thank you. So, I've been around Sabina for a few years now. I've never heard her curse before. I'm like sitting there saying, did she just say the F word? I'm shocked. Whatever personal beefs you guys have, please take it to the chat or take it somewhere else. Hold on a second. I want to go to Marsha because she's been trying to.
I prefer not to talk to me again. Thank you.
Oh, my bad, Marsha. Hader has been waiting, and then I'll come to Marsha, then Cogito. Hader, go ahead, Hader.
No, I'm just gonna respond to that particular twisted history. If we're talking about Islam, well, Persian Empire was the first one that was actually defeated by Muslims in 632. In what is today used to be Ctesiphon, the ancient city of Ctesiphon, what is now Baghdad, right? Before it became Baghdad, that's the history, right? So Islam has been in Persia longer than it's been in Libya.
When
right?
did I say Iranians are not Muslim? I said they didn't have Sharia law.
Don't interrupt me, please. Don't interrupt me. Let me finish my point here, right? So I'm not even either Muslim, Christian, or Jew, or none of this. But the point I'm talking about here is this, right? So that's that, right? So even Islam, so if we're talking about Syria, there's no record of showing Syria being a true Muslim country since the since the Ottoman, right? After the Ottoman, basically Syria was pretty much a clusterfuck place itself. Became the French, France autonomous area, then later on was taken over by a king assassinated by the Assad family, right? So let's not just rewrite history. Let's just say.
Also, do not call the Kurds Persians. We're not Persians. We Kurdish people are definitely not Persians.
Okay.
That's what she called you. Yeah, that's what she called you.
Guys. Hater, I know you hear my voice. So here's how we're going to do it. And if somebody's speaking and somebody else comes off a mic, I'm just going to move you down to the audience. Because now it's getting too confusing. Listen, I get it. Sarah gets really hot. Marsha, I got you. Sarah gets really hot and she stands on her square. But we need to show a little decorum so we can have the conversation. Marsha, I'm going to go to Marsha, then Cogito, then Sharif, and then Shipwrecked and Doctor. Marsha, go ahead.
Okay, so I think the discussion went in the wrong direction. So it's not about the religion. It's not about the Jews and Muslims. So when we say that we are happy that about this war between Mullah's regime and Israel, we are talking about fighting against terrorism. We are talking about this ideology that announces jihad and war against Jews and against pagans and against what other people that they can put any label or etiquette on them. So please be careful about this, first of all. So we are talking about terrorism and humanity. And the other thing, so I think Sarah didn't want to say that Iranians or Persians are superior. So that's not the fact, actually. So you should know that culturally, there are too many differences between Iranians and other nations living around them, the Arab neighbors and other countries around them. And if you don't know this difference, then you will fall to the trap of the IRGC propaganda that has been saying throughout all these 46 years that look at the future of the look at the presence of Libya, look at the presence of Iraq and Syria, and that will be your future if you look for regime change. But that's not the case if you know the cultural difference between Iranians and other countries. So it is not about the religion or these kind of things and superiority. So don't fall to this trap, please.
Thank you, Marsha. We're going to go to Cogito. How do you say your name, Cogito?
Cogito.
Cogito, my apologies. I'm just a dummy from Brooklyn.
By the way, JB, that put the links in the chat for you so you can look at those things while you're talking.
I definitely will. Hey, Butters, I'm going to tell you right now. Somebody just came into the room. He's on the stage. And he's gonna bring it to you. And that's my man, El Normal. But let me go to
El Normal are friends.
Okay. Let me go to this gentleman. Go ahead, man. You were saying?
Yeah. So I think like there's some confusion going on, and I think like when it comes to Israel and Iran, I think like people tend to think about it in a more religious act, and I get it, like it's tied politically, but I think like before 1979, they had Israel and Iran, they were cordial. And the reason why, after the revolution, everything went to shit, and that was because Iran didn't like the way the Western world was like handling the situation, and that's because of Shah. He was kind of like pressured from the U.S. and U.K. and they're like signing oil agreements and things like that. And after the revolution, when Shah fled, everything went to shit on terms of the relations between Iran and the U.S. So Israel is now backed. Well, they've been backed by the UK and US, and Israel more so. They weren't on attack against Israel at all, right? And I believe the reason why Israel attacked Iran was due to the fact of the backing of Hamas. And when it becomes between Palestinian people and Israel, that's a whole different story. That's the battle of the land, right? And I think between those two, there was a shadow war going on, and Hamas is playing between Palestine and Iran, and this is who Israel is actually trying to target. But at the very same time, again, Iran. They don't like people that is backed behind the U.S. policies or the UK. So they have that sense of hate due to that. And I don't think I don't think it is about this religious thing. But I'll leave it there.
Thank you. I know it's about land. It's always about the land, guys. We want the land. So I'm going to engage the conversation right now before I go to the next speaker. El Normo, good morning.
Hey there, good morning to you.
So this young lady, Butters, nice PTR by the way, has a question for the Zionists, and I know that you're probably the biggest Zionist on this app. So Butters, would you like to have the conversation with El Normo?
Oh, I've done this with El Normo before. El Normo, so basically I'm just asking, when the regime change happens in Iran, would anybody who's a Zionist be interested in expanding the Greater Israel Project in that direction?
Your question is based on two false assumptions. Number one, that regime change is inevitable, or that Israel has the power to affect it. And two, that there is such a thing as the Greater Israel Project. I'm unaware of such a thing. I think this is yet another example of a blood libel against Israel.
That route, Ramon?
I'm not going to be long, my dear.
No, I'm just saying, why would you say that that's not true, though? They all talk about it.
Give me one sec. Quick, hold your questions for the end. I won't be long. So, number two, the idea of this Greater Israel Project is a blood libel. A blood libel is a lie that is used to justify killing Jews. For example, this genocide thing that people accuse Israel of is a lie and a blood libel. Israel has neither the desire nor the plan to commit any kind of genocide. That would be a horrific thing. We invented the word. In fact, it means killing a tribe. We're not destroying the Palestinians. We're getting rid of Hamas. We're at war. They could stop the war by surrendering and giving up our hostages, which they're still holding. Similarly, Israel is not an expansionist country. In fact, when our enemies attack us and we take land, as is our right, when they attack us, we are willing to return the land in exchange for peace. And we did so with Egypt when we took the Sinai, which made Israel 1/3 bigger. That was in the 1967 war. In 1978 at Camp David with Jimmy Carter, we gave the Sinai back to Egypt in exchange for peace. We offered Syria the same thing with the Golan Heights, which we took when they attacked us from the north. So no, there is no Greater Israel Project. It is a blood libel used to call us, I don't know what, expansionist, imperialist, colonialist. We are none of those things. We are a decolonial power. Now your question, if you would like, my dear.
I mean, you already put all of the expose of the farce on display right now. Thanks.
I'm unaware of any farce. What is the farce that you refer to?
Where did the concept of the Greater Israel conversation, when did that start? Who began that? Since it doesn't exist.
Since you brought it up, I'd have to say you.
Okay, so you never heard about that through the World Zionist Congress at all?
No.
Oh, okay, sure.
What are you referring to? Why not, on the other hand, you
Is
promote
there such a thing as a World Zionist Congress?
Hang on. Why don't you give us now, since you raised this in the conversation?
I already put it in the chat. You came late.
Yes.
So look at what I wrote in the
man.
chat.
I'm not late for anything. I'm here of my own free will. I'm not getting paid for this.
Right,
So
but
why don't you
scroll
tell
back
us?
in the chat. I put all
Hang
the
on,
information there.
Butters, my dear. Please tell us in your words, why do you bring up this Greater Israel Project, and what is your evidence? Please tell us.
Deafening silence. Deafening.
Butters, did you want to respond to that?
Actually, I already answered and told him the same thing I told you. Is my info is in the chat, and if he can admit that a World Zionist Congress has existed and discussed it, then we can move forward. But I won't play with norms.
I'm not playing. This is the third time you asked me a question. You seem to feel you're entitled to answers. I was gracious and responded. Now I ask you, what is this project?
You actually brought up something about a blood libel, which I never insinuated. And to be able to have these discussions, you actually have to be willing to be truthful about things. So thank you.
Absolutely. Please set the example now. I was truthful. Now it's your turn. What is this Greater Israel Project, and what is your evidence? Go ahead.
Go to my links in the chat. Educate yourself. Thank
so
you.
You don't know. Is that fair to say? You have no idea what you're talking about?
No, everybody on stage knows but you. So I put it in the chat for you.
You don't speak for them unless they've hired you. Please tell us, what is the Greater Israel Project, and what's your...
You were the only one that's asking to know. Everyone else said that they knew.
That's
Thank
because
you.
No, wait, hold on, Norm. Nobody said they knew. But he's asking you a very simple question. What is the Greater Israel Project? In your words...
Don't be lazy. I put it in the chat, and I've already told JB looked at it.
She can't explain it, JB. She can't.
She can't. Hold on. I moved it down because she's disingenuous. She's intellectually dishonest. You know.
The only thing we know is that she's knowing and she's probably working for the IRGC. That's what we...
Sano, your mic is too loud, bro. It's too early in the morning. But I want to go to probably the smartest geopolitical person on this app, and that's Dr. Wise. Dr. Wise, good morning. Dr. Wise, put the sheet down. Okay, that's what I thought. Sharif, good morning, Sharif.
Good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. Sorry, I don't have a good English, but I will try to say what I want to say with the group. First thing, I'm from Egypt, and I suppose nobody here from Egypt to know or to tell the real history between of Israel. I want to call this government the killing the people in Palestine, in Gaza, and wherever they can kill the people, they are doing. The Jewish people, I am Muslim, and I don't have a problem with the Jewish people or the Christian people. I have a problem with the Zionist people, the people who killing the people. Even they are Muslim people, I don't like. I hate who kill children, women, men. And whatever the religion, I hate it. What I want to say, what happened now in Iran or in Gaza, before was Gaza. In Iran, there is arms, there is guns, there is weapons. They can defend of them. But in Gaza, nobody defend them. So what I want to say, we have to see the truth. Even the Jewish people, if there is a Jewish people in the room now, they have to see the truth, to be a human, to see what is the reality, history. Because all of us, we are human. We have to say the truth, even we are Jewish or Muslim or Christian. There is people die for the reason of political people they want to control, keep out of the government. They want to do that. So, what I want to say, the Jewish people, some are normal people, or there are Jewish people, normal people. There is a human people, Jewish. There is a human people, Christian. There is a human people, Muslim people.
Thank you, Sharif.
Sorry for.
No, you listen. You're fine. Your English was fine. I understand everything you said. Thank you for your shit. Thank you. So, thank you. We're gonna go to Dr. Baby, then Pikachu, and then Cynic and Shepard and Bruce. Dr. Baby, good morning.
Hey y'all, what's up?
What's up? You tell me. You came to the stage. You want to say something?
Yeah. So basically, I think you know me. So I'm Kurdish. I think many people here know me already. I'm a Zionist Kurdish Nawad. We're not Persians and we're not Iranians. We don't identify as Iranians. We do not consider ourselves as Iranian. We have actually national anthem that talks about this, that says we're neither Arabs, neither Iranians, neither Turks. There's a reason we do not identify with these names, is because it's our occupiers. So to come to today's world and today's war, which is, Iran war, that have been happening for 45 years, 47 to be exact.
Is she in the Matrix or it's just me?
Yeah, I can't hear her.
Dr. Baby, you're in the Matrix, Doctor. So I'm going to have to come back to you. Good morning, Pikachu. Wait, Doctor, you're in the Matrix. I'm going to come back to you, Doctor. Pikachu.
Can you hear me?
JB, you all right?
Yes, Doctor. Yeah, I'm going to come back to you. Let Pikachu go because you're in the Matrix. Because you're in the Matrix. How many times I got to repeat it? I said it 5 fucking times. Clean your ears. Pikachu, go ahead.
Sorry, but can you not scream at me? I'm not doing anything wrong.
Please go, Pikachu.
Thanks. JB, thanks for having me up on stage. I appreciate that. So look, I mean, I just wanted to talk about this Greater Israel myth and why it's totally fake and what's made up. I mean, this is a politically weaponized, one of the hundreds of politically weaponized narratives that we hear quite a lot. So you've probably seen that scary looking map online. I don't know, you may have seen it on there was a fake AI image that went around about this map that was on IDF soldiers, that Israel supposedly wants to expand from the Nile to the Euphrates, basically taking over Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and much more. It sounds like a Zionist empire plan, right? So, well, look, I mean, this is complete and utter nonsense. So just go back to what Norm said earlier, that the whole program of Israel established a decolonized state. So, I mean, look, the phrase comes from actually Genesis 15.18, which is a spiritual covenant between God and Abraham. For Jews, it's a theological idea, not a territorial one at all. Judaism has never had a modern plan to conquer all that land. In fact, most Jewish thinkers treat it as a symbol, not as a call to kind of redraw any form of borders. Now, the biggest issue behind this myth is that in 1982, there was an article by an Israeli writer named Oded Yinon, and he speculated that breaking up hostile Arab regimes might help Israel's security. Was it government policy? Absolutely not. Was it adopted by Israel? Totally no, absolutely. It was just one man's opinion in a fringe journal. That's what came about. But anti-Israel groups ran with it, and they claimed that it was Israel's secret plan. That's how a fringe op kind of became a Zionist blueprint in the eyes of all these conspiracy theorists. So in reality, Israel actually proved completely the opposite if you actually look at the history of Israel, because in 1979, Israel gave back the entire Sinai Peninsula. And if they really wanted to do the Greater Israel expansion plan, they would have taken that and kept it for themselves. And that is a massive area. I mean, they gave that back to Egypt for peace. That alone disproves any idea of expansionism. And also, look, if you look at Israel's wars and borders, they haven't come from religious prophecy. They've come from simply defending itself. Even through peace deals. Coming out of Gaza in 2005. I mean, that's another piece of proof. I mean, a lot of people like to disprove, Arik Sharon's plans at the time, but Zionism doesn't mean world domination, folks. It means simply just for Jews. This is just for Jews. It just simply means a safe national homeland for us. Nothing more and nothing less. So I just wanted to be clear. This Greater Israel Project is not an Israeli policy, and it's not a Zionist goal, and there's no real plan for it.
Shuri's mute up, man. Shuri's mute up. Thank you. So here's the deal. Where could you go? Okay. So here's the deal. Somebody came up on stage talking about the Great Israel Project, and then when Noam pulled her card, said, "Explain it." She's down in the VIP section. She didn't want to engage. She wanted to gaslight, and when nobody fell for it, she ran away. But Pikachu, let me come back to you in a little bit because I have to with people on the app.
Yeah, go for it.
Because they're very. Hold on, Norm. They're very entitled. So when I explain to them 5 times, I can't hear you because you're in the fucking matrix, but then you want to keep going on, let me run my room. Good Dr. Baby, good morning.
I couldn't hear you, JB.
Good morning. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is good morning. So can you say good morning back?
No, I'm not sensitive. I think I fought more terrorists than you have, so let's be clear.
You probably have. Did you want to speak on the subject?
Yeah,
or you want to keep crying?
I have.
Okay.
So, yeah, I want to speak to the subject because there's a lot of misinformation that's coming around and going around, which actually is very sensitive time, critical time, and people need to hear this. So right now what's happening is nobody's uprising inside of Iran because nobody wants a Shah to be in the picture or Khamenei to be in the picture. So people saw some hacked television having Shah's face on it, and he was saying, "Uprise for me," while nobody likes the Shah inside of the Iran. Neither the Persians, neither the Kurds, neither the Baluch, neither the Arabs, neither the Azeris. Nobody likes the Shah. So basically what happened was people did not uprise. Why did they not uprise? Because they saw his face and they were like, "Oh my God, the Western powers want to bring this piece of shit back," and everybody stopped. Nobody went to the streets. Neither moved a needle. For the only way for anybody to move a needle in that country would to be a Kurdish uprising. And I will tell you why. Because Zinjana, the Women Life Freedom, started by a Kurdish woman being killed, and the Kurdish towns burned Iran to ashes, like in a lot of areas. Even Iran had to bring Hezbollah in to keep the Kurdish areas calm. So, way that you can take down a regime without the Kurds or the minorities, and the only people who have boots on the ground are the Kurds and the Arabs and the Baluch. The Persians are all in the IRGC themselves. Unless they're going to defect, which they are not defecting from the IRGC and saying that Shah should be back. So therefore, you have no other options but to work with the minorities, which they have an opposition, real opposition, not some fake television from Diaspora in LA, talking about fantasy stories. People have critical time. You don't have time to talk about La La Land story from thousands of years ago, some like fake stories that they sell us online. I'm not here to buy anybody's stories. I'm here to save 2 people, okay? 2 nations, big nations. And these 2 big nations need to be heard. And the people who are going around and speaking for the Kurdish people, speaking for the people from inside of Iran, are all grifters. You've been grifted if you have listened to anybody that talks about Shah coming back, because guess what? Nobody has the boots on the ground that is called Shah supporters. He doesn't have an army, doesn't have a command, network, or shadow government. He has 0.
Okay, Dr. Baby. Dr. Baby. Hold on, Sarah, hold on. I want to go to Masha, then Sarah, and I want to give Dr. Baby a chance to reply after they're done. Masha.
JB, can you put me in line too?
I got you. Go ahead, Masha.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, Baby, you said that you don't consider yourself as an Iranian. So why are you so worried about the future of Iran? Don't be worried about that.
Yeah, when you talk about Iranians, you're talking about.
See, this is exactly why I have an issue with you, because you have this entitlement that you could just interrupt her when she didn't interrupt you.
No. I'm asking her a question because this is a conversation between me and her.
Let her finish. Let her finish, and then Sarah's gonna go. And I told you I'll give you a chance to rebuttal. Okay.
Thank you, BJ. So we Iranians are there, and we'll make our country. So don't worry about it. First of all, then as my last sentence or last words here, I would say Iranians are observing the situation very carefully, and are looking for that specific moment to come out in the streets after Israeli army could clean up the IRGC and the Basij forces from the streets, so there would be no suppression in the streets, and they will finish the job. They have this popular opposition figure who is Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince, and now people call him King Reza II. And the people will bring him in power. Not any foreign country. Let me make it clear to you. He's the most famous and beloved opposition figure in Iran right now. And the people will finish the work and they will make their country. If you consider yourself as an Iranian, we will welcome you. And that would be your land. And we can make it together in the future. And then if not, then no discussion between us. And
sure.
And thank you, BJ, for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Yeah, no, of course, you can speak all the time, but it's JB, not BJ.
JB,
did he just call you a blowjob?
Thank you for that.
She did, but she's cute, so I don't care. Sarah, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I want to quickly say something for the audience because a lot of people have no idea what this woman is talking about. So, you know how some Americans, they don't like the president, they're like, Trump is not my president, or Biden is not my president.
That's bullshit.
Hey, whoever's talking, shut the fuck up.
You're nothing.
I'm talking.
You're nothing.
Mute yourself. So you know how some Americans say Biden's not my president? Jamie, are you going to move her or mute her?
Can we have one mic on Sarah, please?
So you know how some Americans, they say Trump is not my president? We do have about 5 to 10% of Kurds, Baluchis. I'm going to repeat, 5 to 10% of their entire population, they don't want to be part of Iran and they want to separate. As of today, they are Iranian because Kurdistan is inside Iran. And what that 5% say, the 95% do not repeat. I have many, many Kurdish friends on this app, Iranian Kurdish friends, and they're going to come here. If you want, I can ping them in another time, and they'll come here and they're going to tell you that people like her are people who took a few blocks in Seattle, and they called it Summer of Love, remember? What she says is not true. Do not fall for this kind of bullshit. And you know what? Kurdish people, not only they're Iranian, it's just we have different ethnicities. We have Turks, we have Arabs, we have Kurds, we have different ethnicities in Iran. And all of those ethnicities, there's 5 to 10% of them who want to separate. So that's completely bullshit what this lady said.
Everybody, hold on. Everybody, hold on. So, Dr. Babe, I have a question for you, and I'm being serious. I'm just trying to get some clarity. You keep using the word grifter. Why are they grifters, in your opinion, Doctor?
Okay, so JB, unlike this lady, we have boots on the ground, and unlike this lady, she has no knowledge what's going on inside. And like this lady, I actually have something to lose. I don't live in America, and do not compare Shah, King, to Trump. It's not even possible. You're comparing two different people. Iranians are not like Americans, nothing like them. Actually, you guys are terrorizing a whole region. America's not terrorizing anybody. So that's first point. Second point is, yes, they are grifter, JB. We actually found out that Shah has been grifting off of everybody and selling everybody a lie about us inside of the country, actually saying, oh, the Iranian people are all my supporters. He has zero supporters. Israel hacked their TV and Shah asked them to uprise, and not even a needle was moved. And that's your evidence that these people are grifters, and especially this lady who has no idea what she's fucking talking about. She lives in fucking America, talking about the Middle East. You're not Iranian. You're an American today. Be proud. You have
fucking Saturday morning. Take a breath. Let me just say something real quick. Anthony, Jordan, Nye, El Normal, TC, I got to step away for 5 minutes. Can you guys run it real quick and try to keep some decorum? Any of the mods there? TC, Norm?
I'm here.
All right, guys. I'm going to hand it to you guys for just a few minutes. If these ladies want to continue to pull their pigtails, be my guest. I don't care. I'll be back.
Can we ask her to speak few words in Farsi?
Yes.
I want to see if she's even Farsi so bad.
First of all,
I want to make sure you're Iranian.
I will tell you. Wait. Let me finish. I'm not gonna speak in their language.
She can't speak in Farsi. She can't speak in Farsi.
چطوری کسکش سارم؟
That is not Farsi. She has a strong accent. That's not Farsi.
Okay, one mic.
Okay, so she asked me a question, let me answer.
You couldn't speak Farsi, doctor. You can't speak Farsi.
Let me finish. Okay? I was born in 1993. When my family left your fucking regime, that regime, it was 1975. 1975, we went to Kurdistan, Iraq.
Did you guys love how I flew this bitch out?
See, I don't, because I don't have to. I'm Kurdish.
Let her speak. Sarah, please.
I'm Kurdish. I don't have to speak your gay language. I'm Kurdish. I have to speak.
The lady is obviously racist.
I don't have to speak.
She's insulting the entire.
I don't have to speak your language. You're nobody. I don't have to speak your language. You're my oppressor. Why should I speak your language?
You're not
your gay language. I spoke to you in your own language. You couldn't even answer me.
You
couldn't even answer me in Farsi
and you hate Israel.
You left so long ago.
That's why you're supporting IRGC. Shut the fuck up.
To me.
She's anti-Semitic too? Oh.
Did she call me an anti-Semite?
Yeah.
Bitch.
Hang on.
You better.
I muted the room for 1 second. Hang on. This is a musical interlude. I'm going to sing to you in Farsi. Parchame Falastizi bo kontu konet. All right, we'll take down the temperature. You can translate that if you want. Please go one at a time.
That's fine. You can the Palestinian flag in their asses.
Okay, do we need to start a queue? Until JB gets back? Sarah, did you want to have a comeback and after Sarah? Or
I'll just say 2 sentences, Nye. Thank you. I just called her out. Like, I mean, we have a lot of Iranians.
You lied.
We have a lot of.
Okay, hold on.
Can
Let's
someone
let
tell her
Sarah
to?
land.
We have a lot of Iranians. We have a lot of Iranians. Oh my God!
Here, I can speak for myself. Iranians spoken for me for thousands of years. Stop speaking for me.
Doctor, let her finish, please.
And why? This is the same thing on the ground. They try to speak for us.
They oppress them,
I want her to speak for me.
Okay, I
Didn't she say she was raised in Iraq?
Occupier.
And then she tells me I'm not Iranian. This woman is not even Iranian.
Ladies, peace.
You're
Hold on,
not
doctor.
even in Iran. Shut up.
Okay, hold on.
And why Sarah's racist. She calls everyone anti-Semitic, and she's saying the same thing about Doctor now.
And I'm a Zionist.
So we should just. So how about is
Me too.
Can we just move past this now? Would any other speakers like to join in? Because I don't think
I want to land. She didn't let me talk. Are you rewarding her?
No, Sarah. Let's let Sarah land. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my point of what I was saying is for the audience who don't know about Iran, and even the Iranian Kurds, we do have 5-10% that say, oh, we're not Iran, we don't want to be Iran.
Doctor,
Can you move her to the audience so I can talk and then bring her back?
Okay, doctor, I don't like to move people to the audience. I really don't, but I will.
She's not letting me talk, and I like to get what I'm saying. Like, I want to say this.
Exactly. I just want Sarah to land, doctor. No disrespect. You can come right back up. Let's just let Sarah land.
Yeah, and why they were saying really bad stuff in the chat, though. They're saying Kurds are dirty and stuff like that.
All right,
And I think Sarah's friends saying these things.
Okay.
Sabina, you're the one who told me.
Please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. I didn't say that. Please don't talk to me. Thanks.
Shut up.
The comments are in the chat.
I have an idea. Let's don't mention each other's name. Let's not trigger each other, not necessary. Let's talk about the issues. We have some people from the region, and it'd be interesting to hear what they have to say. I will give you my New York perspective. I'm not as smart as they are on these matters. Number one, we support the Iranian people. They're a beautiful, beautiful people with a great history, great art, great cinema, great music, great food. And we want them to be free and out from under the thumb of this murderous, genocidal Iranian revolutionary, quote-unquote, regime that is now in charge, that has spread terror around the world. I'm going to mention just one small thing. I am familiar that the Kurdish people have long wanted a country in self-determination, and it is my personal opinion that people deserve self-determination.
If the majority wants it, Norm, that's 10% of Iran. If the majority wants it.
Okay, I'm not saying one way or the other. This is for you to decide. I'm not
the
from there.
first grassroots movement of the Kurdish independence started inside of Iran, by the way.
Okay, again, this is for you guys to decide. So if this regime, IRGC genocide regime, falls, the one thing we don't want is for you to be at each other's throats. That's the worst possible thing. The best possible thing would you become a democratic and liberal society with equal rights for everybody and tolerance for each other. That's my opinion. I'll mute up.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say,
Please,
One mic, please, y'all.
Can I have one mic on me?
Hold up, please. Okay, Sheriff, I got you, y'all. Let Sarah land. If y'all don't let her land, this is gonna go on, and she's determined to get her point out.
I am gonna get my point out. Thank you, and
then we'll move on. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so this woman who told me that I'm not Iranian, who lived in Iran till my mid-20s, and somehow she, now that I called her out that she's not Iranian, and every Iranian in this room can tell you she's not Iranian, then she says, no, I was raised in Iraq, that's why I don't have Iranian accent. She is not even Iranian. So I want people to know that. And pay attention, all these people who come in these rooms and support IRGC, people who are supporting IRGC, they are all non-Iranians. They're majority, like 95%, 99% non-Iranian. I just want people to pay attention.
51% of the country is non-Iranians.
Okay, pause. We're gonna go to Sheriff, ladies.
Thank you, mate.
Anyway, before you go, I just want to make something clear. Arabs inside of Iran are not Iranians. Baluch inside of the country are not Iranians. The Kurds are not Iranians. We're different ethnic minorities.
Let's just let Dr.
Shut up. We're not Iranians. The Arab, how can you refer to an Arab, a Hawazi, living inside of Iran as an Iranian? They are not Iranians. Kurds are not Iranians. Baluch are not Iranians. We're not Iranians.
You are the Arab.
So, listen, it's very simple. It's very simple to understand. I do not speak for people.
They cannot decide.
Persons do not have the right to speak.
Hold on.
Iran. I will speak.
Okay, Nima, no, wait. Sheriff was waiting. We're gonna go Sheriff, and then Nima, you got it. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to say something. Who gives the direction? Who gives the other government can control the decision for another countries, even the United States or Europe, or Israel or Egypt or any country? Who gives the control for the other government to control in another country? Even in Iraq, in Iran, in Israel, in Palestine, in whatever, whenever. We cannot say that. We cannot say that. We are human. We cannot repeat what the political people said. We are democratic people. We call the democratic people. How we talk about the democracies, and we talk about control another government in another countries. We cannot say that. We cannot say that. Sorry. Thanks.
Thank you. We're gonna go to Nima. If anybody would like to speak.
My name is Darius because his alphabet is Persian. You cannot see me. I'm here a long time.
Okay. So the guy with the blue, hold on, the guy with the blue PTR, he has been waiting. I guess you want to speak first. Nima, no disrespect, he has been waiting. So we'll go with the guy with the blue PTR. Doctor, by the way, for the record in the audience, I did not move you to the audience, just for the record. So we'll go to the guy. I see you with the blue PTR, Daru, and then we'll go to
Thank you so much. Guys, I'm so sorry. I have to go. You see, guys, Iranian people, they are united. It doesn't matter you are Jewish, you are Christian, you are Muslim, Shia, whatever you are, we are united. And we love our country. It doesn't matter which religion you are. It doesn't matter which culture you have. We are Persian. This lady, I'm sorry guys, I cannot talk very fast. This lady, she's coming, I don't know, she's from Kurdish, Iraqi, she's from Syrian, Merian, Kurdish, Turkish. She's coming to this room and she said, oh, without Kurdish, you cannot have a revolution. Guys, we Iranian people from Balochistan to Mazandaran, everywhere we are united. We have one flag, one nation, and we love each other. This lady, she tried to separate us. Lady, please shut up and go to hell, motherfucker. I'm so sorry if I say bad word, guys. This lady, she is not Persian. She is Arab.
Well, yes, I'm not Persian.
Okay, so to the next speaker, no cursing and no insulting people on the stage, please. This is what my understanding is. You have many ethnic groups in this Persian Empire or Iranian Empire, and many of these ethnic groups are speaking out on behalf of their own freedom and independence.
She's not Iranian.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's not the point. It's not the point. This is an open forum. Let's just not speak over each other or insult each other. We can have different opinions, but Americans, this is mainly an American room, no offense, although we're not very educated about your people in your country. We need to understand. I still don't know what a Baluchi person is. I'm only learning about who the Kurdish people are. So you have to, without fighting with each other, you have to educate us, and please don't insult or call names. I thought Daniel was next. Is that fair?
Hold on a second.
No, Nima's next.
Okay, sorry.
Guys, let me just do a quick room reset, and then we'll go by queue. But I definitely want to get Hope in the conversation. Hope you hang out for a little bit so you can get in. Guys, this is Healthy Debates. Israel versus IRGC. I changed it to IRGC because it seemed to bother a few people when I said Israel versus Iran. Pseudo and anti-intellectuals welcome, and we see plenty of them on the stage today. Good morning, Caroline, Rin, I see you. Mike in the house, another Mike. AJ, good morning. Guys, you have a pink ticket, please cash it in. Ludwig, how you doing? I know you're anti-Semitic, that's fine. That's your opinion. So I'm going to hand it back to Nai, who seems to have the cue, and let's keep this civil conversation going.
Okay, really quick. It's on Nima. Who would like to go after Nima? I'll start a queue.
I would. Well, at least that's when the queue ended.
Wait, hold on a second. Everybody, hold on a second. Nai, after whoever you just said, going to open after him.
Okay, so Nima, and then what do we say? And then
sometimes.
Okay, so this is what I have. I have Nima, Hope, Cynic, Daniel, and Shep, Rick. Cool? All right, go ahead, Nima.
Did you add me in?
Oh, wait, who's that? Who said that?
I am here. I'm Nima.
No. Who said, can you add me in?
This is Shamim. Thank you.
Shamim. Okay, got it.
Nima,
go ahead, Nima.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Sorry for my English, because my English knowledge is not very well. I just try to say what I want to say. Maybe Sarah can help me. I am Kurdish from Iran, and I would like to say some other Kurdish, like Baby or any other Kurdish from all of the world, cannot decide for me. I want to be Iranian because I am Iranian. I want to take my country back from this horrible Islamic Republic. It doesn't matter. Some person like babies say I'm Kurdish. My mother language is Kurdish. My mother language also is Kurdish, but I love Persian language also. I love سارا ببخشید یه سری جمله ها رو من نمیتونم. ادبیات فارسی من عاشق
Farsi
ادبیات
literature. He says that he loves Farsi literature, even though his language is Kurdish.
Persian culture because they are really nice people. Why should you make a hate between us? It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter when you want to have your own your country. Okay, let's do it. But I want my country, Iran. When you don't want to be part of us, it's your decide. It's not. You cannot speak for me.
Thank you, Nima. I think next in the queue is Hope. Hope, good morning, Hopi.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Fantastic. How you doing? Enjoying this beautiful weather. Enjoying this beautiful weather in New York today.
It's nice today. It's not too hot. It's much hotter on the stage than it is in New York right now. But yes, it's nice. It's not raining. It's not too hot, so I'm liking it. But I wanted to come up. I don't like talking very often on stage, but I wanted to come up because I have to agree with Nima and Sarah that Doctor is not Iranian.
Even this is what they do on the ground too, by the way. This is what they do every day.
Even
they silence us. They try to
Doctor,
silence us.
please shut up. Shut up. It's my time. Shut up. It's my time.
We're gonna change the regime whether you like it or not.
One mic on Hope, please.
You cannot stall us.
One mic on Hope.
Jay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Can you guys put it down until I finish talking, please, or else I'll just go and.
No. Hope somebody moved already. But
okay, thanks. So, Kurdish Iranians consider themselves Iranians. They don't consider themselves Persians, but they consider themselves Iranians. Doctor is a separatist. She's not from Iran. She's trying to create division right now in Iran among the Kurds. Just please be careful when you're listening to these people. And when people who are Iranian on stage tell you that someone's not Iranian, believe them. That's it.
Hope, can I ask you a friendly question with for a friendly answer? Just educate me.
Sorry.
The Kurdish people want self-determination, as far as I know. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Kurdish, in Iran, they want to be Iranian. They don't want. They don't.
In Iran or not in Iran. I just meant in general, they want a country.
In general, the Kurds who are in Iran, again, I'm not Kurdish, but you just heard from a Kurdish person. Kurds who are in Iran want to be Iranian. They don't want to be something separate. Kurds who are in Iraq and in Turkey and all the other Arab countries want to be separated. Iranians have treated, before the IRGC, treated all Iranians, regardless of their religion, their race, or whatever, equally. So no, they don't want to separate. The people like Doctor want to cause this division to make everyone
don't make it personal about her. Because,
okay. Yeah. Well, no, I came up to respond.
That's the whole point.
That's not what I'm asking.
Norma, I came up. I only came up because I wanted to talk about what she was saying. I came up for that particular reason. Because she's sitting there and she's telling all the Iranians on the stage that they're not Iranian, that they're not this, that they're not that, when these people are.
Okay.
I haven't lived in Iran, so if someone tells me you're not Iranian, okay, even though I am, but I wouldn't say that it's everything in my soul because I'm not there. But she has nothing to do with Iran.
Right.
He wants to separate.
Well, no, let me say this to you real quick, and I say this respectfully, seriously, sincerely. I know that you like that woman, but when I get 10 different Iranians telling me that she's not Iranian and she doesn't support the Iranian people, I kind of have to believe, especially somebody like Hope. Hope never comes on stages.
No, she's very credible. Hope is credible. I know this.
So before we continue with the next speaker, I want to say good morning to Rolo. Rolo, good morning. Good afternoon.
JB, I just want to...
Hold on, L. Hold on, bro.
No.
Go ahead. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Bro, you are harder to reach than Trump, man. I send you messages in IG, and I just don't get it. I wanted you in here like 2 hours ago, man.
Mate, I've been busy, but I appreciate it.
How dare you have a life?
God damn it. I'm trying not to have a life and just spending more time on here like I should be. Really interesting topic. I've got somebody I'm going to try and bring in who is an incredible speaker on this topic of Iran. She's got some history with the land, and I'm going to see whether I can get in contact with her and see if she graces us with the presence. So I'll see what I can do here. But look, I understand there are different stories that are circulating about identities in terms of Kurdish and Iranian and so forth. I am not really clear, and I'd love to be able to hear from a few different people on that. If the conversation goes in that direction, all the better. Hey, Norm, great to see you. And let's get on with the show.
Thank you, Rohan. So before I go back to Norm, I brought Dr. back up. Guys, attack the point, not the person. And like I said, look, I go on who I've been around. I've been around the Hope for a few years. I've never heard her say anything that made me look at her sideways. So, but I'm not going to steal somebody's identity if they say that that's who they are. If that's who she wants to claim to be, hey, that's on her. So, Norm, I apologize. I know you had a question or something you wanted to say.
Well, thank you for that, JB. And hi again, Ro. I think the 20,000-foot view, as they say, and I'm not talking about the view from an Israeli fighter jet over Tehran. The 20,000-foot view is that the Iranian people do not want their country to split into, a dozen pieces as a result of this. They want freedom, but they don't want balkanization. The way the former Yugoslavia split into Croatia and Serbia and Bosnia and Republika Srpska and all that stuff. So they want to keep their country, their diverse, multi-ethnic country together, but they want to get rid of this repressive genocidal regime. So this is the interesting question. Sometimes it takes a totalitarian dictatorship with authoritarian tendencies and secret police in order to keep all these different ethnic groups together. So the question is, can Iran sustain itself and offer equal rights and freedom to its people without splitting up into a bunch of different pieces? I think that's what I'm hearing here. That's all I wanted to say.
But Israel is not even doing that in Israel with Palestine.
I want to.
Well, I'm willing to discuss that, but that's yes. The Palestinians do have
one mic.
Wait, let me just finish responding. Yes, everybody in Israel has completely equal rights under the law. So your comment was off base, but go ahead.
Wait. Hold on a second. No, you can't just walk in and I know you got that energy, bro, but we got a queue going on. So, but I want to give Doctor a chance to say what she had to say. Doctor, you got a minute, then I'm going to hand it back to Naya, who has a queue. Thank you.
No, of course. I just wanted to say that the Kurds, vast majority of time, ask for a federal government where there is a decentralized type of a government, like a federal government like America, to have the right to speak their own language, to have their own identity, to be recognized as humans, as the Kurdish people, not some bunch of Iranians who their resources being stolen for over 100 years, and their cities, literally, some of them do not even have basic human rights or water. So the Kurds have asked for separation, and the first time happened in 1946 until the Shah annexed it and killed the leaders. And then the second time it was during the second Shah, which they also asked again. They were betrayed and killed again. And the third time it was with the Khamenei, who also lied about it, who said that he's gonna give rights to the Kurds, and actually he killed them, and it was 10,000s of bodies being hanged and killed. So the Kurds have an experience with this Iran thing, and that's why a vast majority of the Kurds are so sick and tired of this narrative going around saying that they are Iranians, because the Kurds died to not be called Iranians.
Doctor, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question simply? So a lot of I mean, we've shared space before, but I don't know you obviously. But why are so many people who I know are Iranian? So you're not even Iranian. I mean, you're getting so much smoke, and I can't understand it. Why is that?
So the Kurds have been oppressed by Iranians for a long time. You have to understand they cannot just give away their oppressing ideologies against a nation that they have oppressed so many years. They will not give up on attacking a person whenever they speak. They kill us literally when we speak up inside of Iran. We get killed for it. So you have to understand what's happening on the stage is same exactly what's happening.
She lied. She really lied.
What I like, Google it. Google it. Don't believe me.
Let her speak.
Don't
It's
believe
her
me.
time.
Don't believe me. Search yourself. Don't believe me. If you don't believe me,
Kurdish.
search for
I know
yourself.
that.
Wait, hold on. Doctor. Do me a solid. Just put a couple of links in the chat to back up what you're saying.
Yes.
And I just want thank you so much. But before I go to Nye, who has a cue, Anthony, are you there, Anthony, by any chance?
Yes, sir.
Anthony Edwards? Man, I just want to say thank God we're not having a race conversation today. So I wanted to. I'm gonna go to Nye. Nye, you got the cue, hon?
Okay, sure. Cynic was next, but I don't see him in the room, so we're gonna go Daniel, Shipwreck, Shaman. Anybody want to speak after Shaman? Sano, I see Sano blinking. Anybody after Sano?
I will put Doug on that list, please.
Who? Thug. Okay. And for the record, Dr. Baby, we won't be, if we keep dropping you to the stage, you know, the mods only have so many invites before we exhaust our invites. So please be cool so you can continue to participate in the conversation, because if you keep getting dropped, you might not be able to bring it back up.
Getting dropped, but why don't you just drop some Iranians who are attacking me constantly?
I understand, no, but I'm not the one dropping you, just so you know. I dropped you one time. The other times I did not. And I think you're only getting dropped because you interrupted.
That was me, and that's right.
Yeah,
That's the only reason I drop her is because she doesn't have mic control. But if she's cool, I'll let her speak all day. I don't give a shit.
Okay, so we're going to Daniel. Go ahead, Daniel, and after Daniel is Shipwreck.
Thank you, Nye, for keeping the queue. I know it's not fun, so thank you. At this point, I don't want to derail the conversation somewhere else, and that we're talking about more like internal Iran things. So I'm just gonna say that what Israel is doing is about removing threats, and it's a great opportunity and a one-in-a-lifetime chance for the Iranian to be liberated. But at the end of the day, it will not be anyone's decision against the Iranian people. Except the Iranian people. They will have to make up the move. They will have to put this last nail in the regime's coffin. It will not be done by any outer forces. But because this conversation is right now on internal Iranian people, so I will maybe come back again later when we're talking more like geopolitics and stuff like this.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Go ahead, Shipwreck.
Hey, thanks. This kind of works out well because we have a lot of Iranian nationals in the room, and to kind of go off of El Norman's talk about the totalitarian governments within that region of the world. Having spent 3.5 years of myself in Iraq through those wars and watching the new government come in place, and then towards the pullout, seeing the fall of the regime, is there a reason or something you could kind of pose to us where the same thing wouldn't happen in Iran if this conflict does facilitate a regime change, and why there is such a propensity for a totalitarian government to work so well in that poor part of the world?
Let me just ask you, who are you asking that question to?
I was asking it to the Iranian nationals because we have some Kurds in there, and there's a couple other as well. Yep. I just, like I said, not being super knowledgeable about Iran and that particular country, but having seen it firsthand in other parts of the Middle East and seeing it vicariously through news and other channels for other countries outside of Iraq. Just wondering why the totalitarian government seems to be kind of the working system over there, and there has been multiple revolutions in different countries, and it seems to kind of come back to that. So that's what I was going to get an insight from nationals there and how they're going to keep it from happening there, like it has in so many other.
Any Iranian nationals on stage want to answer that? Flash your mic, please.
I honestly didn't understand his question.
Sarah, he's saying, what assurance do we have that if this regime fell, that it wouldn't break into a million pieces like Iraq, and that something even worse than what we have now would fill the vacuum. Is that fair, Ship, that I expressed your question?
Yes, that's a good one. And then also, like, what are your insight as to why totalitarian governments work so well in that area, and why, when there is different forms introduced, that they typically fail? Like in Iraq, there was 2 or 3 different instances of governments that went through into place that all couldn't necessarily hold the power, so to say.
Yeah, so I can answer that question though, but I do believe I talked about this earlier though. Iran, they have a 2,700 years of monarchy, and in the last 46 years we had their IRGC. They did not ever have Sharia law in Iran, even though majority of Iranians are Muslim. The religion and state were not mixed until 46 years ago. So to compare Iran to its neighboring countries, I'm not trying to be racist. I know people are going to say that, but they're just different because the neighboring countries, Iraq, Syria, Libya, like all these countries that we saw the civil war in them, they've had Sharia law from the 7th century, from the 700 years. So it's like, what, 1,500 years or something like that, 1,300 years. It's just different. As far as how do you know it's not going to like break a civil war, you never know. How do you know? Nobody can say. I mean, unless you have a crystal ball, you can't tell that. But the one thing you can be sure is that majority of Iranians, they are nationalists though. Even though earlier we had like, you know, people on the stage saying that, oh, like I'm Iranian Kurd and we want separating, blah, blah, blah. We do have about 5 to 10% of the Kurds, they want to separate, but they're not more than 10%. And the Kurds, Iranian Kurds on this app, they block those people. They don't even allow them in the Farsi rooms that they open themselves. We have about 5 to 10% of Baluchis that they want to separate. We have about 5 to 10%, maybe more of Turks. Maybe the Turks are like closer to 20-25% who want to separate, but the majority of Iranians, they don't want the country to break. And this has been one of the biggest propagandas IRGC has used in the last 46 years to stay in power, because that is how nationalist Iranians are and how much they want to stay together. They've always said, if we go, Israel and West, they want to separate you. Israel wants you separated. West wants you separated. You know, and everybody knows this. Those Iranian Kurds know this. If they separate, it's going to make it weaker. Name one country that split into pieces and it didn't get weaker. So that is my answer, you know, but there is no real guarantee for what you're asking.
Excuse me, my name is Darius. Can I say something? My car is double parked, guys.
Darius, one thing, I know you would like you, but please don't curse out people, okay? Don't go by name. Just talk about the issue.
No. God love you, sir. No, I never do that.
Yes, God love you. Well, you just did that last time you were up, if you recall. God love you.
You see, God, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for this room. Really, guys, we love you. Guys, I want to tell you with all of my bottom my heart, I want to say Iran is one part. If somebody want to try to separate us, we have a hot bullet for his brain. You don't like Iran, please go. Please, whatever you want to do. But we don't give it your land, my friends. This land is belong to Persian. You know, this belongs to over 3,000 years, 7,000 years. You think you want to separate it? Go ahead, go to hell. Okay, I'm sorry if I say bad words. Guys, we are one nation. We are one flag. We are not, listen, we have a Jew, we have a Christian, we have a Muslim, we have different language in my country. All welcome. We love them. But they want to be separated. We have a hot bullet for their brain. I'm sorry, guys, if I say something.
Okay, I sent him down. Twice on the stage, he threatened to murder somebody.
He didn't threaten to murder anybody. He was saying if you try
he
to...
He said he has a hot bullet for their brain.
Right. No, if they try to separate their country. He did not.
All right. Next opinion. We don't have to listen to somebody threatening to put a bullet in somebody's brain. Yeah.
Hey, doctor, I spoke so many times. I haven't spoken even once. So why
Everybody did up. First off, Sam, now you're lying because you spoke earlier. So I complimented you on your PTR. And I'm going to tell you why I'm giving Dr. Grace, even though I don't really know this lady. It's because she's standing on her square, and she seems to speak for a segment of whoever her people are. I don't know who she is and who her people are.
You know who I am.
Hold on a second. No, I don't. But I'm going to give you 30 seconds because you have speakers that haven't gone yet, and then I'm going to go back to Nada on the queue. Get that.
Yeah, you forgot who I am, but you know me. But okay, so basically, yes, Persian Empire was a decentralized government for one simple reason. They had different kingdoms under the Persian Empire because these were not the same people. They were not all Persians. They had multiple kingdoms under the Persian Empire. Same like today, Iranian Empire, who occupied all of these lands, are actually not all Iranian Persians. Persians are a minority when you look at the numbers of all of the people inside of Iran. Persians make up 27 million all of the country. Then you have 25 million Azeris, then you have 18 million Kurds, then you have 10 million are not Iranians, Baluch are not Iranians, Kurds are not Iranians, definitely Turks are not Iranians. Then you have the Persians who call themselves Iranians. Then you have assimilation tactics that happen over the years. Some people do call themselves Iranians because they are afraid to even speak for their identity, just like when the Jewish people were under different countries and empires, they had to say some of the things about themselves and they did not even agree with. So vast majority of the Kurds do not want to be called Iranians. They want to be called Kurdish from Kurdistan.
Maybe Iraqi Kurds, not Iranian Kurds. You're not Iranian.
Sarah,
No,
let me jump in here. I'm going to jump in here real quick, okay? Sarah, I'm giving you a lot of grace. And guys, do me a favor. Don't mind anybody. Thank you very much. Let me run my room. So land your plane, doctor, and then we're going to go to new stuff.
Of course. So listen, my family ran away from Iran. Half of my family. Some of them ended up in actually America. Some of us ended up in Kurdistan, Iraq, which they gave us an asylum, our Kurdish families. So we Kurds are all same people from Kurdistan, Iraq, Kurdistan, Turkey, Kurdistan, Syria, Kurdistan, Iran. We're all one people. We are Kurdish from Kurdistan. We are divided into four. There was actually in 1920 to give us a country, but then Sykes-Picot happened and they divided us into four. We're not Iranians, we're not Iraqis, we're not Syrians, and we're definitely not Turks. There was one of the first independent movement actually started from inside of Iran, Mahabad Republic, which was one of the first independent Kurdish self-governing era. And we were slaughtered by the Shah, and that's why you don't know about us. You don't know about my people because we were killed to not be known. And every time I speak, you see how Iranians are jumping on my throat like crazy people, like inside of Iran, how they kill us just for saying that we're Kurdish. No, because
Hey, one second. Hang on. We're not going to do this. There's one mic policy here, okay? I don't care who is thinking they've got the right to be able to speak over other people. It's not going to happen. Dr. Baby, please go ahead. Nobody interrupt her. Make your points short, salient, and to the point, if you could, please.
Yes, thanks. Of course. I don't want to take more time, and I also have phone calls because there are stuff that I should do for my people, and some people online that they waste my time and your time. So I want to be clear. There is a very good chance that there's going to be only an uprising by the minorities, but not by the Persians. And unfortunately, even the foreign minister yesterday, when the foreign minister of Israel posted something, they excluded the Persians as being oppressed by one simple reason, because the Persians were the ones oppressing all of the minorities. There is a very big, waking up by a lot of governments to see that actually these are grifters, and they are only hijacking what's happening really. And Israel needs us actually right now. And I don't want Israel to be the only one in this fight. And as long as the Persians are hijacking this, it's going to be Israel alone. Why? Because nobody wants Shah back. Nobody wants Iranians, Persian empires. So the more this narrative goes around, there's gonna be no uprising. But the moment that this dies out, you're gonna see people rising up against this regime. There is actually a statement by the Kurdish leaders of the opposition of Iranian regime that they are saying that they are ready to fight, but for some conditions, and these conditions have to be met for a change to happen. And it's not only the Kurdish opposition, even the Baluch leader actually talked about it. Ahwazi leader is also talking about it. All of the opposition who have foot on the ground and weapons who can change the regime are talking about it. Israel is taking out, just let me give an update, Israel is taking out the capabilities of Iran to not harm the region, which meaning missiles, which Iranian regime doesn't need missiles to kill inside of the people. They don't need nuclear facilities. These are not created to kill inside of the people. The security forces are the ones killing the people. So Israel is taking out the threat from outside. So there will not be threat outside of from Iran to outside of the region, but from inside the threat is still ongoing. So that being said, there is a need for a grassroots opposition to this regime, for anything to be changed from inside. As long as that's not happening, yes, the nuclear facility will be bombed. Yes, the facilities of nuclear weapons will be gone. But one thing is going to be security forces, which we have to take it ourselves. Israel is not going to do it for us. Neither America, nobody's obligated to do that for us. We are obligated to do that for ourselves. So the grassroots movement against the regime are the real opposition of the regime, not some fake people online from LA speaking about our future. I just wanted to say that. I love you all, and I'm Israel Chai. Long live America and long live Kurdistan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So guys, hold on. Nima. Thank you. Rohan, are you there?
Certainly am. Hi, Jamie.
I got your message. Did you want to do what you wanted to do?
Yeah. Look, we're going to sort of have a bit of a shift in the room at the moment. It's going to be on the same topic. This person, who I will introduce shortly, has been doxxed, been labelled, has been attacked on Clubhouse as well. I'm going to play a clip. Hopefully the audio is going to be okay. It's from a space from Twitter or X that was yesterday about US, Iran, and Israel and the current issues over there. This person is a member of the Healthy Debates community, as well as has a Clubhouse account. And she was a special guest panelist alongside a national security expert, military expert, a political policy advisor, and a constitutional attorney as well. What I would like to do is play, I guess, some of the closing statement. It was basically a closing statement from the space from yesterday with the person's permission. Following me doing that, I'll open it up to questions. So bear with me for a second. I'll get the audio out. And JB, can you let me know if the audio is no good?
Absolutely.
Okay. Give me half a sec.
So far, no good.
Okay.
Countries in the Middle East, and it's failed every single time.
That's perfect, Rohan.
Allow Ozzy to speak, and then we're going to wrap up here. She had some closing statements. We're going to wrap up. Thank you all for coming. Go ahead.
Thanks, Brian. As you bring this to a close, I want to sort of return to a principle that has always defined my perspective from the start. Context matters, and we started talking about this context in the beginning with the panel, not just in geopolitics, but in personal life. And it matters because false narratives, whether at a national or individual level, they do have real human consequences. And I think that's at the core of some of the question that sparked this whole panel discussion, Brian. Recently, I've been targeted by coordinated harassment. And I would say recent probably is
And this year, in 2025, as early as January, February, I think a docs account that was created was put in the nest here that was launched in March. Chaos agents online have doxed me, circulated, manipulated falsehoods about my family, shared photos of my minor son, and that tweet, that page that's pinned to your nest over there includes the photo of my son, who is a minor, and posted defamatory claims across platforms. I received death threats. I've had my privacy invaded. I've been falsely labeled as affiliated with the regime. Let me be very clear. These aren't just attacks on me. They're part of a wider effort to suppress any voices that don't fit neatly into this pre-approved narrative that occurs in this box that we want. And we saw indications of it with different speakers on the panel and the diversity. And I appreciate what Malcolm had said earlier, what Dr. Strange just said, and many others. In response to this, I'm just going to say this once and for all on a recorded space. Multiple U.S. federal agencies, including the FBI and others that have been investigating these for decades, since 2021 and 2022 when it happened, where I received boxes and packages at my home and my office and my family members. They have their position clear for me and my family, which gives me solace. And their statement to me and my family is, we know who you are. The United States knows you're not affiliated with the regime, and the truth about your background isn't really hard to find. I literally had an FBI agent tell me this a couple months ago. And he said, all people just have to do is want to find it. And Google is there to find it. These agencies are also actively monitoring the social media accounts and networks continuing to circulate the doxing content, including those sharing or amplifying images of my minor child, which constitutes a serious violation of federal law and digital safety protections. And I appreciate Sarah being here as a lawyer. I think she can attest to that. My grandfather, Dr. Ibrahim Yassi, served briefly as foreign minister after the 1970 revolution under the interim government of Prime Minister Bozeka. When the U.S. Embassy was seized, and this is all well known and documented, including declassified information, all you have to do again is go Google it. He resigned in protest on November 6th of 1979, warning it would derail the revolution or the movement and isolate Iran further. What's often omitted or deliberately erased, take it how you want, is that he also protested the hostage crisis. He stopped two other hostage crises that were going to happen before they actually happened. He opposed executions of political prisoners and spoke out early against the Iran-Iraq war. These positions are well documented, and they also cost him dearly. He was arrested, banned from political life, and eventually silenced. He later helped lead the freedom movement of Iran, a group dedicated to constitutional governance and civil liberties, and to bring Iran to the secular democracy that Munir was talking about, that was the intention of the revolution at some point. One often overlooked but deeply important part of his legacy is that he did play a direct role in helping secure the escape and safe passage of individuals who were on executions list, including Jewish Iranians, religious minorities. In fact, it's also documented that he supported a movement to bring to the forefront the persecution of Baha'is in Iran and others at risk in the immediate aftermath of the revolution. It's important to say this clearly from me, because some of the current doxing and coordinated harassment that I face that you all witnessed is rooted in a very deliberate effort to manipulate Jewish communities into hating me by spreading categorically false narratives about my grandfather and my family and who I am as an individual. Not who my grandfather was, not who my father was, but who I am. But the reality is facts matter, and so does historical integrity. And the historical integrity is extremely important, especially when we're talking about this stuff. Brian, you started talking about the Tucker Carlson interviews. We've seen Tucker Carlson even interview Dan Caldwell talking about the United States, in this constant history of regime change wars. Now, it's also true that my grandfather worked with a wide range of political actors during his time, and back then, including Yasser Arafat, which is also used as a stick to hit me on the head with. At the time, in the revolutionary context, because context matters, in the revolutionary context of the late 1970s, he and many others believed that such alliances were part of building solidarity among national liberal movements. However way you want to look at it now in 2025, in the 70s, we all have to admit that it was a time of just revolutionary. We saw protests in America about and issues, we see them now still. Hindsight is always 20/20, and like many historical figures, his choices reflected the climate of the revolutions at that time, where strategy and morality were often in tension. That doesn't mean I disavow that part of his record. I simply understand it for what it was, shaped by the urgency, chaos, and hope of that time. History is full of leaders who, with good intentions at that moment, made choices that today we might approach differently. And the decisions that are made today, we might look at in 10 years or 20 years and think we could have approached them differently. What has moved me most in all of this, even amidst the smears, is that people across political spectrums, including monarchists, have reached out with kindness and shared their respect for him. One recurring thing that they've told me: your grandfather once said, our biggest mistake during the revolution was saying, "Fakat Shah bere," and in English that translates, let's just get rid of the Shah, and we will take care of the rest later. This reflection haunts me and many others, because I hear the same dangerous rhetoric now. Let's just get rid of this regime and we'll figure out the rest later. And if we're not careful, we're repeating the same mistake, in my humble opinion. And it won't be academics or activists who pay the price. It'll be, once again, everyday ordinary Iranians and voices like those that we heard on this stage. So no, I am absolutely not part of any regime. I've lived my entire life in the United States. I care about Iran as my family's heritage, but I don't live there, and it's not for me to decide its future. That is for the people of Iran to determine, and Malcolm said it best when he was here earlier.
Is that it?
Well, I also care deeply about this country that I live in. I care about American service members. I care about my friend who served in special operation and deployed last minute to Afghanistan to evacuate troops under the most impossible conditions. I care about friends who fought ISIS across multiple tours, only to now see some of the same figures they fought being rebranded and repurposed as political allies or presidents. That kind of narrative, whiplash takes a toll. Our military may continue to do what it's asked of them, but the public's trust in why is breaking down. And narratives around Iran and Israel right now are feeding that mistrust. That brings me to something I deeply appreciated on this panel, especially Malcolm's thoughtful comments on polling. And I think Dr. Strange brought it up too here. I'm sorry, I just have two more things. Two more minutes. Okay, I waited for 2 hours amidst all of that. We entered an era where polls are used as weapons. In one breath, we're told we can't trust anything from inside Iran because of fear, surveillance, and coercion. But in the next breath, those same sources are cited to validate convenient talking points. So which is it? If one poll is invalid because people are scared to speak, then so is the next. You can't pick and choose based on outcome. Methodology matters. Who conducted the poll? How were those questions asked? What layers of interpretation were added or removed? And in selective framing, this trend of historical revisionism is becoming a fad, and now it's common to flatten or distort the legacies of people to fit a simplistic binary of good or evil, but that revisionism doesn't serve truth. It only serves control. If we ever hope for a future based on justice and freedom, we have to confront the full history, even when it's convenient. So let me close with this. The real threat to progress, whether in Iran, in the US, or anywhere else, isn't disagreement. It's the refusal to tolerate complexity. Doxing, smearing, and bullying aren't activism, they're desperation. The metaphor that I always lean back on is, if an egg is broken by the outside, life ends. But if it breaks from within, life begins. And Iran's future, if it's going to be just and lasting, must come from within, not through bombs, not through memes, not through external engineering, but through voices, resilience, and agency of its own people. The agency of its people. And finally, what we've seen across this panel, from military analysis to legal framing to cultural insight, has been vital. And Brian, I really appreciate what you've done here. What ties it all together is a reminder that culture, memory, and language are not side notes. They are the main thread. And if we can't speak in ways people recognize as their lived truths, we're not actually building anything sustainable. We're just rearranging narratives. So to Alan, Malcolm, Brian, and Sarah, thank you for the depth and clarity you brought. Malcolm, his candor and honesty around data and public trust were refreshing. Brian, to you, the host, thank you. Not just for moderating, but for curating a space where nuance, disagreement, and integrity were actually welcomed. And I hope that we have more spaces like this. Thank you so much.
All right, so So Rohan, you wanna have the dialogue? I just want to say, Miriam, I'm sorry. I had no idea that you went through all that, and I'm glad you're here. Rohan.
I'd like to maybe introduce this person on her terms, finally. After spending a long time in hiding, she's chosen to be able to take this opportunity right here and now, not just to be able to speak her piece, but to be able to have her face seen. I want to welcome Miriam.
Hi, Rohan. Hi, JB and everyone.
I must say, when I heard your closing statements, I was absolutely blown away. Not just by what you were saying, but also how you were saying it so eloquently and how succinctly as well. I've been privy to having an element of exposure to what your history has been, and you've held that in confidence with me, and I have held that and make sure that it's on your terms when and if you ever wanted to be able to talk about what your history is, what your family has been through, and it's your turn to be able to shine. So I'd like to know, first of all, is there something you'd like to be able to add to what's already been said? Are there any particular parts of what you've said that you'd like to be able to maybe focus on the conversation? And also, would you be open to having a Q&A in some way, shape or form?
Very supportive. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the respect for my privacy, not just from you all, but from so many other friends, some here, some not. So I want to first say thank you about that. And to navigate, like sharing my voice, there's so many, it's very complex, you know, it's a delicate dance between saying the right thing, saying what I believe, standing 10 toes down on something, and then also navigating the, I guess, hate or whatever you want to call it, from all sides actually, from the regime side, from the diaspora side, from all sides. And I think yesterday I just got to a point thinking about what's going on with Israel and Iran, this war, you know, civilian deaths, casualties of war, the nuances of war, you know, all of these things going on, framed around talking points, you know, from people above a glass ceiling that it's very, very hard to access, right? There's so many people at that level that are making decisions that impact all of us every day. So yesterday was a moment that I just felt like it was time to just kind of come out there. And even on X, I'm very low key. I don't really engage in stuff. And so when Brian Allen approached me and said, hey, I want to put together this panel, Alan Ayer was there. Malcolm Nance is very well known. He was in the military, served multiple tours. He was there. We had a constitutional attorney there. Another Brian was there, and he's a policy advisor. So it was a good, healthy panel of different people, different backgrounds. And so the conversation was framed around a lot of this stuff going on. And the premise of it was based off truth and the integrity of truth and the integrity of facts, whether they're uncomfortable to talk about, whether they fit the narratives that we want individually, collectively, in our silos, in our groups. You know, I sat here listening a little bit about, you know, I think there was a Kurd that was speaking. I'm probably known and obnoxiously known for this, that I always give grace to everybody for their lived experiences, and I think there's truth in that. So it's very complex, and we have to acknowledge the complexity of everything going on. We have to acknowledge the fact that while Iranians and dissidents and political prisoners and those inside of Iran or outside of Iran that have fled, while they have disagreements or flat out hate the regime, there is a sense of solidarity and national pride and love for their nation, and they don't want to see this happen this way. And that's important to note, because in these kinds of environments of social audio where we're discussing and we're trying to unpack reality, it's very easy to become a you versus us, them versus me this narrative of like pointing people and putting them in boxes and labeling them if they don't subscribe to singular sentence or a claim or a position on something, because it's very nuanced and it's very complex. And then we've got the diplomacy side of it, and we've got the chronological timeline of things. Those facts mean something. They are not just something to use to say, oh, you're whitewashing this, or you're justifying this, or you're trying to protect this narrative. This isn't a Iran versus Israel thing. This isn't a U.S. versus Israel thing. This isn't a U.S. versus Iran thing. This isn't anything versus anything. It's about how we are unpacking, dissecting, maneuvering historical facts with accuracy and respect, whether that fact is uncomfortable. So I just want to appreciate and say thank you for all of that.
Pleasure. Look, I just want to highlight one of those things, one of the issues that you just brought up, and that is that a lot of people look at these types of scenarios in the same sort of framing as a game of soccer or a game of football. It's one team versus another. You're either on one side or you're on the other. There's always a nuance, and especially under these circumstances. And I appreciate the perspective that you're bringing into this conversation, and you do it in such a very eloquent way. At the same time as you have your truths, there are other people who are going to have their truths, their lived experiences, and they're living through the filter that they have adopted based on their bias or their own personal experience as well. So with that, look, I want to ask, is there anybody who'd like to be able to ask any questions to Merrick?
Yes.
Okay, who've we got there?
Dave, yeah. So what I do, yes, I think in this clubhouse, I think we need to gradually transition to truth and embrace complexity. I mean, most Western people have no clue how complex this region is. And the problem is for David,
I'm going to pause you. Sorry, but are you going to ask her a question directly about what she was?
Yeah, I will just answer the question.
That'd be great.
So you, Marian, thank you. And you mentioned about all this complexity. How would you help the Western people to deal with this complexity, go through the truth? Because since October 7, we without many Westerners are very lazy and without putting effort, just come and black and white, because they are bombarded with a lot of misinformation from people who are pro-Palestine, and there are certain complexity as well with the struggle between pro-Palestine and Israel, but very often we find that there's a lot of misinformation to go through the history. There's always a debate between which version of history is true. So I'm asking you, Marian, if you are representing Kurt, how would you help us to go through the complexity and let the truth prevail?
Hi, Dave, I appreciate that question. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. It requires intellectual honesty and not being lazy. Unfortunately, sticking to talking points, jumping on bandwagon legitimacy, not making the effort to understand the chronological order of things, why something happened when it happened, what are the nuances of how it happened, when it happened. We are, I think recently they put out a stat that said the average, attention span is like 8 seconds, right? So I appreciate everybody for listening to a 10-minute statement from me, but we have to be able to pause a little bit and make the effort to learn, to read, to understand things more. Because if we don't, and we stick to 8-second talking points and headlines, and we jump on those statements, we are really missing it all. We are not able to discern the truth and the reality and the facts. And that is going to continue to cause division. It's going to sow hatred. It's not, and this applies to Israel and Palestine situation here too. Every side has its own justified lived experiences and stories, right? And I'm going to repeat it again. We're at the mercy of people who make decisions claiming it's on our behalf. And we are not sitting at that table, right? We can hear about it. We read about it in the news, but we're not sitting there. And the only way to get close to a seat at that table is to read as much as we can, to learn as much as we can, and understand the history and the nuances and how complex it is. So I appreciate your question, and I just encourage everybody to read more, listen more, talk more, understand more.
Do you appreciate perhaps what it's like for a person who doesn't have as much insight knowledge to current events as well as the history of the region, how it might be somewhat confusing, as an example, that you have 80% of the population, I think it's 90 million in Iran at this point, who are against the current regime, who would want a change of the guard. And there are people who are literally partying in the streets. I've seen videos of people celebrating, saying, "Thank you, Israel," blessing Israel. I've seen people around the world, in America, also in Australia, out in the streets, showing appreciation for Israel doing what they're doing at this point. For probably a variety of different reasons, but I would sort of ascertain that the main reason why they're doing that is because they do want to change the regime. And you also bring up some salient points in terms of, well, what happens after this? If there's nothing that's put in place, then if there's no after plan, then it seems to me that you think that things would actually get worse than what they currently are and not better for the people of Iran. And I'm not sure I quite understand that. Is it possible to be able to maybe shed some light on that for us?
Sure. So I'll start from the beginning of what you brought up. I think, I mentioned this in my closing statement, and I'll sort of repeat it here. And this goes for, social media videos and posts that we see everywhere that is framing our perception. Polling gets cited when it's convenient and dismissed when it's not. The same applies to social media posts and videos coming out of Iran. For every one Iranian celebrating this, I guarantee you that there's an Iranian not celebrating this. There's an Iranian that says, "Hey," and I think I've sent you some pictures before, the screenshots from. There's a Baha'i activist who just happened to do a seminar, a conference, a speaking engagement about a week or two ago in Dallas. Even for that person who's been persecuted, family persecuted, sharing his lived experience in a story to amplify the voice of Baha'is in Iran, for example, their story, right? I'm not judging its truth or not. I'm not judging anything about it. That is their story. It is not my place to judge. But even those people are saying, "Hey, this is not what we wanted. This is not how we want it." So for every person who's celebrating it, I think it's fair to say that there's a person not celebrating. And it goes back to the agency of its people. Regarding the after, what happens next? The issue that I see is that we are siloed and fragmented still as an Iranian community inside and out. You cannot convince me that there is a singular majority voice that transcends beyond any other minority groups, siloed groups. Everybody is operating with their own vision. You've got the group here that is a hardcore, die-hard monarchy group. You've got the group here that says, "Hey, for this portion of transition, for this next phase, we're going to support Reza Pahlavi as leader." You've got another group here saying, "No, we support Maryam Rajavi and her 10-point plan." In fact, to the point where, in my humble opinion, Reza Pahlavi is laid $1 short. Congress has already, said, "Hey, we're recognizing this as Maryam Rajavi," but that's another argument. You've got Kurds, you have Kurd separatists that are expansionists, not just separatists, but it's the expansionism side of it. You've got Kurds that are nationalists that want a Kurdish state within the state of Iran as its own autonomous area like you see in Iraq. You've got reformists. You've got people that are reformists by political affiliation, and then you've got reformists who philosophically believe in the engine, like the process of reform, like we see in the United States, and I probably fall somewhere around there. And then you've got, your regime supporters that are diehard regime supporters, and then you've got loyalists, then you've got your hardline conservatives, and then you've got a whole bunch of people in the middle that are just afraid, like, what the hell's going to happen? I don't even know what I want to do right now. I just want to go to work. I want to be able to feed my family. I want to live my life. Like, please, everybody, just leave me alone. So when you have an environment that is so diverse and complex, politically, socially, emotionally, historically, it's very hard to say that right now we're going to have a unified process about what's going to happen next. And the reason I'm highlighting this, Ro, is because, in 120 years of Iran's history, we have had 5 regime changes. 5 in 120 years. Tell me which nation in the world has had that much regime change in 5 years and able to sustain itself. So that perspective and what I'm saying about what happens next is very, very important, because if we don't recognize this, there's always going to be another group that is going to rise up, and we're going to have the 6th or the 7th or the 8th regime change, and we're not even going to hit 200.
I hear what you're saying. JB, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Miriam. Listen, I'm hearing things for the first time. I'm so anti-dox to people's families and people taking this shit offline. So, Miriam, I'm sincerely sorry that you had experience. I'm sure it's extremely stressful. But you're getting a lot of pushback in the chat on some of the things you're saying. I'm not a scholar on anything that deals with Iran, to be honest. I'm learning things today. So, Sarah, did you want to jump in? I know Sam, you do?
I do. I want to ask Mariam something, because she said something, but I'm not sure if I heard it correctly or not. Mariam, did you say, when you were talking right now, did you say that your family did work for IRGC at some point?
No.
Oh, you did not say that. Okay.
I said I categorically deny that accusation. That is completely false.
Okay, but I do want to say something, and Mariam, please don't take this in a wrong way. I do like you. We're friends on, Clubhouse. But for someone who always say, as an Iranian who lives outside Iran, it's not my place to decide for the future of Iran. You have a lot of opinion on why it's dangerous and there's going to be civil war. Like, you literally had the longest mic in all the people who talked in this room today. So I just want to point that out, and I'm not like labeling you anything, whether you truly believe that the stuff that you're saying or not. You are actually playing in IRGC's favor. And again, I'm not saying you are connected to them, but I just want to let you know, like, I swear I have at least 20 people in my back channel right now, and they're all saying, is she IRGC? Is she IRGC? Why is she saying this? Like, seriously, like, if you want to tell Iranians that those who are outside the country shouldn't have any opinions, or you're not going to have opinion, you're not going to decide for future of Iran, I think you shouldn't, like, have this much of explanation either, because you know what makes you an Iranian? It doesn't matter if you live inside Iran or not. The same way that Iranians can go and actually vote for presidential, whether they're inside Iran or not, they can have an opinion. Majority of Iranians who are outside Iran, they had to run from the IRGC at some point in their life. So they actually absolutely have the right to have an opinion. Every single Iranian has a single vote. And if you don't want to be involved, then please, I beg you, and I beg you on behalf of every Iranian who's anti-regime and they want them to go, please just sit quietly back, because you always have a lot of opinion, but then you always also say, oh, I'm not going to make decisions. That's all I just wanted to say, and I hope you don't take it in the wrong way. I'm not trying to label you. I'm saying it as a friend.
Okay, so I'm going to start by saying there's two types of people: glass half full and glass half empty. Your perception is your reality. So I can't change the minds of anyone who wants to take what I said and hear how they wanted to hear it. I said what I said very, very clearly. Okay, so I'm not going to go back and forth about, trying to debate or defend my statements. I was very, very explicit with how I said it, how I framed it. So there's always going to be a group of people who just don't want to hear what somebody's saying for what it is.
Roland, I'm going to hand the room over to you since you're the administrator for this house. Great conversation, guys. I'll be back.
See you back here soon, JB. Sarah, look, I just want to say thanks for making the comment, also asking the question so politely as well. I think we were pointing out before that, like, Miriam's going to have, she has her scope of the situation that she's going to be able to talk about. She's got a narrative based on her own personal experience and also the history that she has not just witnessed for herself but also has read about as well. And I think, look, within this, there's a healthy conversation and, for that matter, a healthy debate to be able to have. I'd like to know if there's anybody else who's got like some questions or some pushback, or maybe on what Miriam had to was saying. Then please feel free to be able to just chime in. Let's go.
Sano, go ahead, Sano.
Yeah, I don't know this lady. I don't know Mariam, but I think if I understood correctly, she's the daughter of Ibrahim Yazdi. Well, Ibrahim Yazdi was not a very good actor. Even after revolution. Granddaughter. Well, Ibrahim Yazdi, he was not a very good actor. He was not a very good actor, good figure in the history of Iran. Well, he fought for the Islamic Revolution. He was pro-Islamic Revolution, but he also became a victim of Islamic Revolution. So among all the hundreds of thousands of the victims of Islamic Revolution, Ibrahim Yazdi is one of the people who I feel sorry for the least, because he was one of the culprits who brought this pestilence to our country. And so just my question is, so Mariam, if I understand correctly, you oppose regime change in Iran right now. So is it because Israel is involved? Is it because of your hatred for Israel that you are opposed to it? Or is it because Pahlavi is involved? For which of these two reasons is that you are against? Is it because of your hatred for Israel or your hatred for Pahlavi? Judging from the views of your grandfather, because I don't know your own view.
That's really interesting. I don't know where you got the idea that Mariam is anti-Israel, or even for that matter pro-IRGC, but Miriam, if you'd like to be able to respond to that, that's entirely up to you.
I think you, as
opposing regime change right now is pro-IRGC.
Supports Israel.
Wait.
Cleared it up.
Pause for 1 second, okay. Just for what it's worth, we've got a one mic policy. B, if a moderator is talking, that's not an indication to be able to open mic and just talk over them. It's not a good idea. We're not going to accept that. Sorry, Miriam, as you were saying?
I was just saying that as a Jewish man who supports Israel, I think it's fascinating from the outside in this current climate of trying to label people a certain way to, and I said it actually when you played my statement in the space. I think the question was cleverly worded, but I think you responded to it well, Ro. So I'm just going to leave your statement, if you want to repeat it again, out there for people to really understand the perception of what I said, how you took what I said, listening very carefully, how you said as a Jewish man who supports Israel, and what somebody like Sano is trying to paint what I said.
Sano, I don't know how you came to the conclusion that Miriam is anti-Israel and pro-IRGC. Is it possible you've misheard something?
No, I'm just asking. I'm not saying she's anti-Israel. I'm just asking. Why would she be against regime change? After a historical opportunity we have, we don't have the luxury of choosing exactly how to carry out regime change. And if this effort fails, then there will be massive massacres. There will be tens of Khabarans. If you are Iranian, you know what is Khabaran. What is the mass murder of political prisoners in the 80s. There will be tenfold of that awaiting us if this regime change attempt fails. So why would anyone be against regime change now? Just because it is not exactly the way I dreamt it to be?
Well, I mean, maybe a way of putting it would be, Miriam, do you think that under the current circumstances, if there was a regime change, could it actually be any worse than what it currently is?
Hey, Miriam, in the midst of you answering that question,
Anthony, I just want to see if...
Yeah, Ro, I would actually like to also hear what Anthony wants to kind of say too, so I can answer it all together, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, okay, that's...
Excellent. So Miriam, I just want to be clear, right? Do you think it's a fair stance for someone to feel if you're anti-regime change, that makes Miriam pro, IRGC? Do you think that's a fair statement?
If Miriam actually explicitly says she's against regime change, I'm sure that there's somebody out there that could take that and make 2 + 2 = 4 in that context. But I'd like anyone here, I charge anyone, to tell me where in any of my statement or anything else that I've said, assert that I am anti-regime change. Please. And Rose heard the video, Ro played the video. Ro, did I say anything anywhere that I'm anti-regime change at all?
No, you certainly...
Or even imply it in the slightest?
No, there was no implication whatsoever. It was an assumption that was being made and an assertion that came as a result of that, much the same as the assertion that you're anti-Israel, which I've known you on here for I don't know how long, but I've never heard you be anti-Israel once.
So to be clear, Miriam, I haven't heard you say anything that indicates that you're anti-regime change. I was just asking the question as a concept. It's not based on something you said. Multiple people have asserted that you're anti-regime change. I haven't heard you state that.
I would like to say something. Is it okay? So from what I hear so far, this is more about ancient people, Kurd. They are divided now in Turkey, Iraq, Syria, and Iran, right? Most of them are in Turkey. What I hear from Marian is there's a lot of complexity. The history timeline is very important. And she just hoped that in this discussion of how the regime change will take place, that people do not totally ignore. There is this, 8 million Kurds in Iran, but she hoped for the bigger picture. What would the world want to do with people, Kurds? There are distributed around 14 million in Turkey, 8 in Iran, and some in Iraq, and some a little in Syria. I think that's what I hear from her. And I rather hear things like that, which is based on truth, than having many Israeli people wasting time on daily basis, debating futilely with people like Aziz, or people who just come and waste the time of the Israeli people. We hope for IRGC to go away. And the question is, in this very sensitive, uncertain time, should we hear about, the future of Kurd, right? But if this is presented as a truth, and if there's no misleading, everything is clear that she's not representing Kurd who's and thinking about anti-Israel, I don't hear that, and I also don't hear that about anti-regime change. She just hoped that there is this truth in history. What would happen to these people when there's an anti-regime change? When there's a regime change, and also the other point, what she say is, who is going to lead the regime change? She believes, maybe it's not her or somebody else. It's the Kurd people who's going to lead the regime change. They are willing to sacrifice their life. Again, I could be wrong, but she's not anti-regime change. She just hope in this very historical moment in Iran, people don't forget there is an 8% Kurd death. That's my point of view.
Mariam, did you want to follow up with that?
Sorry for interrupting. No, sorry,
Let me
Mariam.
clarify, Sarah.
Look,
No, Sarah, hang on. Let me clarify.
No, there was a guy in the chat who's like making very, very nasty comments. Maybe somebody wants to.
It's okay. I see it, but I think it's also important to see that it exists there, Sarah John. Okay, because that is also telling. Again, we're talking about complexities of all of this. There are people out there who make the statement "nuke Iran," right? I mean, they even create a count about it. We can disavow it. We can get upset about it, but we can't ignore that it exists. In my humble opinion, to answer Dave, I think I understand where you're coming from with the whole reliance on the Kurd part and bringing that. I didn't say definitively that it's Kurds. I said in response to Ro, when he asked me about this, I said that the complexity of it does cause a concern for me looking at it from the outside based off of 120 years. So when you have a population of Iranians globally, 80 plus million inside, and you have so many different factions and people that subscribe to a different type of political affiliation or ideology, it begs the question, where's the utopia? Where's that utopian leader or group of leaders? If you really want my opinion, I think that the leaders of Iran are in those jails. I think that the dissidents and the political activists that have given their blood, sweat, and tears and have stayed in the country and have fought against the government, those people, to me, in my humble opinion, are the ones that are truly the ones that can navigate all of this, because even sociologically or psychologically, they've earned the respects of their compatriots inside of Iran enough because they see them that have stayed there. Whether we on the outside have different judgments and opinions about them and we want to go down conspiracy rabbit holes or affix a label to them, regardless of what we think on the outside, the people inside of Iran, they recognize who's in prison right now. So that's where I'll land on that part, Dave. And that's what I was trying to explain, is there's a complexity there of all the different.
Let me chime in here with a quick question. I think the commentary in the chat, and you referenced it, Mariam, begs a provocative question. And I'd like for you, if you could, to answer it directly. The question is this: do you think that Iran should have nuclear weapons? And if so, or if not, why or why not?
That's a great question, TC. That was actually a question we were talking about yesterday, and I've been on a different panels talking about this. On principle, I think every sovereign nation has the right to do that. The issue about Iran having nuclear capabilities started actually in the late 1960s and 1970. So during that time, there was Project Flower. You had the Shah of Iran back then, the late Shah, asking the United States for the ability to develop a nuclear program. The question right now is, do we trust this regime enough to have a nuclear program? My question to that is, what type of government would anyone trust to have a nuclear program? And the foundational principled question is, does every sovereign nation have the right to do it, right? Have the right to have it. And so if you look back at the history of Iran, it's not exclusive to 46 years, this question about nuclear programs, nuclear reactors. The Shah of Iran had a program to have 22 or 23 nuclear sites. Before Ford was Nixon. Nixon said, okay, let's work on an agreement. Let's talk to each other about this. So they had that. Then you had the Guadalupe conference that happened. In the middle of that, you had Ford come in. So the complexity and the accuracy of the chronological timeline of all this lends itself to the question of, when will the West or anyone in general be satisfied, and what regime will be satisfied for something like this to happen? So on principle alone, yes, I believe that Iran has the right to have the same things that Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Israel, America, every other country has. I would be a liar if I said that I didn't agree on that. So I'll leave it there.
If I could just follow up on that, if I can just follow up on that real quick, and I'll hand it right back off to you.
Yeah, sure. I think I know where you're going to go with it.
Yeah, I don't, and don't take this the wrong way, Miriam, but I asked you to answer the question directly because I wanted to evoke a response to the question that's guided the conversation, which is, what is the utility of a nuclear-armed Iran? We're not talking about nuclear energy. I'm talking about a nuclear bomb. And so the question was, in your opinion, should this current regime have a nuclear bomb? And if so, why? And I think you gave a principled response, which I respect, and I can respect that response, because if everybody else is entitled to it, then why shouldn't Iran be entitled to it? That's fair. But considering the implications of this current regime armed with a nuclear weapon, I guess agnostic to any type of principled or just principled stance on the issue of fairness and equity for countries having access to weapons that other countries have, why would it be advantageous for this regime of Iran to have a nuclear bomb? If you want to answer that, you can. If not, no worries. But
I'll answer it. I'll answer it, but I'm not going to feed direct the way that you want, okay, TC? Because I think it requires a little bit of background. Yeah. So I'm gonna speak as an American citizen here. My statement before was as an American citizen, and also pride in my heritage and the fact that Iran does deserve this. And this has been a question since I said from the late 1960s and 1970. There's been a lot of talk about JCPOA, right? So when the U.S. backed out of JCPOA, although Iran was still in a nuclear agreement with the E3 nations, France, Germany, UK, there were some agreements there. It got out of hand. So Iran went from 3.67 to 60%. That's a big jump. Okay, I think we can all agree that shouldn't have happened, and I think the regime was stupid for allowing that to happen. So I don't agree on that. I don't think they should have done that. Then you've got the IAEA. They say that there's conflicting statements. In one breath, you've got, it's going to happen within the next 3 weeks, three months, etc. But then you've got the definitive statement from the IAEA saying that Iran is not building a bomb and is likely not to in the next 3 years away, even if it wanted to. Okay, so even if it chose the path to develop a nuclear bomb, it hasn't indicated so, but what they have right now could if they wanted to. Right? So that's a question. That's an issue. But right now, in terms of policy and the U.S. position on this and what we're doing here in the U.S. domestically, the question is, it's at least 3 years away. We've had so many conflicting reports from, you've got, the Director General Grossi, he came out and said something, and then he had to walk that back. I think 2 days ago, he was on the TV doing an interview, walking back what he said. There's so many layers to all of this. So given this current regime, the way that they have behaved, I think it's fair for any Western country to say, hey, hold on a second here. What are you doing? Why do you need 60%? So I think that's a fair question to ask. And as from this position, from a policy position, looking at that, I would also say, why are you guys enriching this much? I agree with the sentiment that we should be concerned with what they're doing with that. So I'm not disavowing any Western perspective on our opinion of Iran's ability to have it with this regime and the statements that they've made. And I'm not talking about domestic. I'm talking about when it comes to their foreign relation policies.
So in a nutshell, given the current regime, would you feel comfortable as a person who's living in Israel for them to be able to have developed nuclear capabilities further than what they have?
That's a good question, Ro. Given the asinine statements from our former president, Ahmadinejad, and some of the rhetoric around there that's really escalated the whole, Iran versus Israel thing. No, I can see why Israel would not feel comfortable. I could see that. I respect the position of Israel saying, hey, we're not comfortable with Iran having this because, ever since Ahmadinejad opened his stupid mouth, this is what he said.
I want to get in here.
But that was answering the question, but not the question that I was asking. Would you feel comfortable?
She's good at that, Ron.
As a person, hang on for a second. Would you, as an Israeli, feel comfortable with Iran or IRGC developing a greater strengths of uranium?
No. If I was an Israeli, I would not feel comfortable. If I was in Israel.
Yeah. Okay. You understand that obviously Israelis need to be able to take matters into their own hands, and given the threat that the IRGC has made and the Ayatollah has made towards Israel, and it's not just this particular one, and it's not just in the last week or the last couple of months, but this has been something that's happened over decades, as you're well aware. There's been a constant threat to Israel coming from Iran, not just directly, through its proxies as well, through the funding of Hamas, through the funding of Hezbollah, through the PIJ, through Houthis, which are also causing major problems within the water boundaries for shipping and so forth, which is causing problems for the rest of the world. We're also aware that the funding the Houthis, where you have 2 million people lining in the streets calling for the death of not just Israel, but calling for the death of America. It sort of surprises me that I'm not hearing a direct.
Can I tell you why?
I'm not hearing a direct sort of an emphatic answer that leans in the direction of saying absolutely not. Actually, this regime is a fucking danger to the rest of the world. In fact, it's a cancer. And is a threat to not just the Middle East, but also the world peace.
Sir, I'm going to tell you why, Ron, and it's really simple. For me, statements like that and words like that matter, right? There's value that we assign to it, and that value that we assign to it goes into a formula that then turns into an action, right? So let's talk about threats, and let's talk about relationships and who hates who, and I'm saying who in terms of a nation, right? There's another country out there, Pakistan, who actually has the atomic capabilities to do something. And if we look at the history of Pakistan and Israel, Pakistan, you could say, and I'm using air quotes here, hates Israel just as much, right? What I don't see, and this is where I'm trying to reconcile this narrative, and maybe we can have an honest conversation about this so that I can get to the point where you guys are and I can be on the same level. But for me, pragmatically speaking, and words matter to me, what I don't see is the consistency of that message in terms of threat and fear. So we have a country, Pakistan, that literally today hasn't talked about, to the point where in the last 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, right? Let's just say the last week, you've heard statements from Pakistan. They walked back those statements. They said it again the next day, where they are willing and able to support and lean in and drop a nuke on Israel if this continues, right? But I don't see the same rhetoric from Israel against Pakistan, who has the capability and has made that claim, and since at least 1948 has been anti-Israel. So if somebody could help enlighten and share that perspective of it, for me to align the two principles.
Can someone else speak?
Pakistan is not funded for a second. Why are people just jumping in? Just hang on for a second. Yaakov, I've got you. Just let Miriam finish what she was saying. I also want to be able to point out that the Ayatollah is the person, or the IRGC has been very open and verbose in terms of its desire and its intention, and its actions through its proxies in the wanton destruction of Israel. Pakistan, albeit, has like an incredible arsenal of nuclear capabilities and weapons, has not done that. So they haven't openly been a threat, and they haven't threatened
Israel per se. They're not peaceful, we understand that, but they're not warring in their words. Sorry, Marion, I'll pass it back to you and then I'll go to Jakob.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I can see that perspective, but I also disagree. I think Pakistan has come out on several occasions and made claims against Israel. So, I mean, we can both maybe go and Google it and find those talking points and that history there, but I think that it's important to note when we're talking about it and we're framing it the way that we are, the inconsistencies and the discrepancies is where it lends itself to why now, what's at stake, are we missing the forest from the trees? And that's the position that I'm taking from it. It has nothing to do with my personal beliefs and my alliances or my allegiances to any one side. And it's just from a pragmatic perspective here, when I look at the implications of it domestically in terms of the U.S., right? I said in the beginning of this, I'm putting my U.S. hat on this. For me as a voter, as a taxpayer, I look at this and I do question the inconsistency in terms of principle when it comes to saying that this is a threat.
Bro, can I get in the queue? So, AJ down here.
AJ, absolutely. Thank you so much. AJ, I'm really glad you came up here. I was trying to get you up here a little bit earlier. I'm going to pass the mic over to Yakov, who is, I think you wanting to ask a question.
You made my point that Iran is actively funding Hezbollah, which has been firing 10,000 missiles from October 7th beyond into Israel, and prior to that, many thousands of missiles. The Houthis with their ballistic missiles and Hamas. So it's just not a fair comparison, I think. There may be rhetoric from Pakistan, but there isn't active funding to topple the government of Israel.
You mean apples aren't the same as oranges?
Thanks, appreciate it. AJ, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Great, thanks for having me. It's always difficult to ascertain folks' motivations and where they're coming from, and all I can do is assess the words that are being said. And I have to say, this issue hits close to home for me, and I don't want to say Mariam is for IRGC, but Mariam, all of your comments happen to conveniently align with IRGC interests. You might say you're not anti-regime change, but that you're very careful in your wording not to say that you would support it, and you spend all of your time on this app talking about the dangers of toppling this theocratic, oppressive regime. And then when the topic of nukes come up, you draw false equivalences and you very cleverly kind of open the door to people being more open-minded about the mullahs having a nuke. The program is so peaceful. The Iranian nuclear program is so peaceful that they buried one of their nuclear sites 100 well below a cave, and even though that they were bound by an IAEA agreement in 2003, they only revealed that they had the Fordo site in 2009 after it was discovered by Western intelligence. Iran is actively funding proxies, the Houthis, the Hezbollah. They had a hand in October 7. They celebrate Death to Israel and Death to America Day, And the reason even if you had some argument that they were equivalent to Pakistan, that's still, your argument falls apart, because if there's an opportunity to prevent another one of these countries from acquiring a nuke, it doesn't mean you allow it because another country already has it. That argument doesn't make any sense. So all I'm saying is it's just tough to be in this room and see. I'm glad that Mariam's take is here, that her perspective is here, but I do feel like her voice is being elevated as if she's made a mod in this room. She's getting way more speaking time in this room, and I'm sorry, you're not speaking for a lot of us, and it would be great to get alternative perspectives here. The Iranian regime has oppressed,
as far as them having the nukes,
when they come out and say the day we get the bomb is the day we use the bomb, right? I believe them because of the support they have for these terrorist organizations. I believe that they want to destroy Israel, right? But let me say this. I was thinking about this while you guys were having this conversation. And it's not the same, but it kind of ties together in my crazy Brooklyn mind. When Abraham Lincoln engaged in the Civil War, his goal wasn't to free the slaves. His goal was to keep the Union together. If the Persian people could somehow gain their freedom through this, I say God bless them. Let them live free. Give them, and whatever may come. But you know what? We know what we're dealing with right now, and what we see: the oppression, the suppression, the killing of their own people. So people can say what they want. They can ride the fence. They're smarter than everybody else. There needs to be a regime change just for peace in the world, because they support terrorist organizations. Okay.
Okay, so I've stayed up well past my bedtime, but it's been really worthwhile. I'm going to be heading off, but I want to say, first of all, thanks JB for allowing us to be able to entertain the idea of being able to cut with the program that you were having prior to this. It wasn't something that was pre-organized. It was really something on the fly, and I just appreciate that. A big thanks to Miriam. Please, Miriam, feel free to be able to stay around. I just want to thank you personally for, I guess, look, I mean, your position is something that is, I find really interesting. I don't fully understand it. I'm not going to say that I disagree with it entirely, but it's something I feel like I need to be able to have, and I would love the opportunity to be able to have further discussion with you about at some point in time. Now, I guess, and say, look, you've been through so much. You've shared with me privately what's occurred. I'm really happy for you, finally coming out and sharing what your experience has been and what your history is and your family and so forth. It must be it must be a great relief for you in some way, shape, or form. In many ways, in fact. So, look, with that, I just want to say good night. Thanks so much for entertaining the conversation. I look forward to doing it again. Always a pleasure.
Hold on, guys. Listen, when Rohan leaves, the room got like maybe another 10 minutes. Let's be civil to each other. You didn't hear me speaking? I'm sorry. You didn't hear my voice? I'm sorry. You want me to get a little louder?
Sorry he didn't talk.
Okay. Hold on a second. Can I run my room? Thank you. We're going to go Navin, and then I want to go... Oh, Michaela left. Oh, Michaela, you're there. We'll go Navin, then Michaela. Go ahead.
Thank you, JB. So I'm here. I'm an Indian. A lot of problems can be solved because a lot of people can make fun of Indians easily, and I don't take it to heart. Okay, do not redeem all this stuff. But anyway, basically, I kind of understand where both sides are coming from. Mostly because when I follow American politics, I kind of feel like no one wants boots on the ground for this kind of war. Okay. Israel war. I think Trump is doing kind of really good by trying to raise support Israeli people by trying to dismantle the nukes or whatever. But when the Israeli people said they want to kill the leader of Iran, Trump initially said no, don't kill him, because I think he knew like if that happened, if a sudden regime change happened, there was going to be like a power vacuum or something like that. Because there might, like, whatever happened in the previous Middle Eastern wars, all the terrorist groups or whatever, they could have been born anew or something like that. Maybe that's why, like, regime change is kind of being, hesitated upon. And I think Miriam is kind of leaning on towards whatever JB and other people, I think AI, was it? He wasn't here, he isn't here right now, is kind of on that point. I mean, Mariam is on that point, but she can't say certain things or whatever. So she can't openly state it. This is what I feel. So basically, I think that quick regime change will lead to a lot of unforeseen consequences. So I think it'd be best, to like dismantle the nukes, and then let's see how the regime change goes or whatever. If how the people feel about it. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Naveed. Thank you, Naveed. Michaela, you there, Michaela?
Yeah, I just have a minute. I have an appointment coming up. I just wanted, I've been in and out, but I'd like to know if Marianne, I would think that maybe the Crown Prince is talking to the Kurds, I hope. I would think that maybe he would be forming a provisional government that would include them and maybe solve part of that problem. Miriam?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm going to share something I've shared in smaller circles here amongst all of you. Back when the Masa Amini movement started, the Women Life Freedom movement and all of that started, there was a coalition that was created, and it included the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, it included the leader of a Kurdish group that everybody calls separatist group. It included Shirin Ebadi, who's a human rights lawyer. It included, Nazanin Bonyadi and a number of other people. Okay, so it included a nice knight's table, if you will, of different people that represent a different faction of people, right? That was the first time in modern history, at least in the last 46 years, I would even venture to say before that even, because it was in your face, out in the public. They had a website, they had coalition meetings, they had press conferences, they had all of this stuff going on, right? And it was the first time that the diaspora, and even on the inside, you saw the movement on the inside. You saw that happen. But then because certain people that had allegiances to one party put pressure on certain people in that coalition, it broke apart, Michaela. So when that happened, a lot of people who are vocal, adamantly vocal, and despise the regime and don't have the same fears I have to speak so loudly about it, those people fell off. They were upset. They thought to themselves, hold on a second here, this really isn't going to happen. This is a joke. They've made a mockery of it, right? So the faith and the trust in that has disappeared. So your question is a really good question. But unfortunately, the trust is not there anymore because you have a lot of people that are very anti-separatist, anti-Kurd separatist. So when they hear a narrative or a faction of the population and you hear a leader talking to somebody like that, you get that. Reza Pahlavi also said in the very beginning, after the dismantling of the coalition, immediately after that, he said, I would even sit at the table with Mariam Rajavi, who's the presumed leader and self-elected president of the MEK. He got a lot of backlash for that. Lost a lot of supporters. In fact, one of them is a really, really well-known Iranian woman here in these spaces. She said, after that day, I couldn't have anything to do with him. After I saw him a part of that coalition, I couldn't have anything to do with him. This is the complexity that I was talking about when I said I have a fear that right now we're not unified enough for it to make the difference that we are expecting to see. It has nothing to do with my desire to have the regime stay or go.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate you. Paul, how you doing, Paul?
Hey, JB. Thanks for letting me on stage. As an American, I'm just kind of taking a wide view on this from the understanding that the last time we went into a country in the Middle East with this kind of complexity, we spent almost 20 years there, and Iraq is still kind of a gigantic mess of conflicting ideological and religious and ethnic groups that are still fighting for dominance. So I really don't want us involved in Iran in any way, shape, or form. The population is almost 3 times the size of Iraq. It would be trillions of dollars if we went in there. Decapitating the Iranian regime is probably a no-go because they have so many bunkers. They have backups. They have continuity of government plans the same way that the U.S. and most Western governments do. So the fact is, removing them is, unless you're willing to put the U.S. military and the Israeli Defense Forces on the ground, it's probably going to be a no-go. So, the fact is, negotiations are probably the only way you're going to get out of this. And the idea.
Hey, Paul, let me ask you a question. Respectfully, did you see when the IDF sent those beepers out? How they were able to eliminate a bunch of people with just beepers? Did you see how? Wait. Let me finish. Did you see how they saved my friend Shlomo from this app when they went in there and they rescued him and 3 other hostages? I'm sure if they want to assassinate the head of the regime over there, it wouldn't take much.
So I think they probably could, but there are layers of government they've built in there. They've been under siege for almost 50 years. These aren't stupid people. This isn't a terrorist cell like Hezbollah. This is an actual functional centralized government with tax revenue and with foreign relations. I think there's a very real difference between regime change and removing Hezbollah's leadership and going after a centralized nation state. That this is a very different thing. It was even different in Iraq. Iraq had spent 15 years under severe economic limitations. There were trade barriers. They couldn't trade oil abroad, and they'd been slowly sort of whittled away. Iran is in a very different situation. They know the terrain. They know the people. This is going to be a very, very difficult and hard campaign. If the U.S. really wants to go in and start bombing them, I think it's going to be a very different campaign than what we've been used to for the last 20 or 30 years, which is these blitzkrieg strikes. You drop bombs and you put special forces on the ground, and congratulations, we've now removed the regime. This is a very different situation. So I think the other thing that we need to keep in mind here is that I understand if I was an Israeli, I would not want them to have a bomb, but the Israelis do have a fully functioning nuclear arsenal of their own of at least 100, if not 200 nuclear weapons. We know they've open air tested in the late 70s with the South Africans down in the South Atlantic Ocean. They do have a functioning nuclear arsenal that, I think somebody brought up to Miriam, like, why don't they just go into Pakistan? If the Pakistanis ever launched a weapon at the Israelis, it wouldn't just be the Israelis launching at them. The Indians have a fully functioning arsenal of a couple of hundred warheads themselves. Pakistan would be a pile of ash at the end of that. Like, there would be no sort of wavering. Everybody would launch at them, and that would be the end of it. The Iranians
Hold on a second. How many conflicts has Israel engaged in since October 7th?
Several.
And I'm not talking about just Gaza. I'm talking about other areas, right? How many nukes have they fired?
They haven't had to, but if the Pakistanis launched a warhead at them, that would be the equivalent of a mutually assured destruction scenario where the Israelis would have no choice other than to use a nuclear weapon in response. And the Israelis do have a functional arsenal, a very large one. Everybody knows about it. It's the worst kept secret in foreign relations.
False, right? But he's rude.
How am I rude exactly?
How is he rude? I thought he was very respectful. All right, to the other mods, TC, Rohan, Hope, Miriam, I'm out of here. You guys want to keep it open, you're more than welcome to. Just let me know. If not, we'll close it down. Miriam, TC.
I have to go, but thank you. TC, I sent you a message too.
Appreciate it. JB, I'm on my way out.
Okay. All right, so we're going to close the room. Guys, been a great room, great conversation. Probably open another one tonight. Everybody be well, be safe, and be nice.
He wasn't really telling everybody to move back to Africa, but he was trying to let everybody know that they have African roots.
I want to, before we go to Ron, because Ron, this is here, I want you to consider this, because in your last mission, you were talking about the IEA. Eagle Hawk says IEA chief cleans up Israel using their report, states they have no weapon program as of June 20th, 2025. IAE chief says agency's report on Iran's secret nuclear activity wasn't the cause of Israeli military offensive, or offense. And he puts that link in the chat. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at that, but the IAEA is saying, listen, don't make them the reason why we go to war, because they have not said that they are at the 60%. Go ahead.
Can I answer a statement that Father's made? Because I just want to clarify.
No. I got to be impeccable about my word. I said I was going to Ron. That's what I'm doing. You can get in after Ron. Since nobody thinks. Cool beans. And y'all gonna have to run yourselves in a minute, because I gotta do some things. I gotta also speak to my girl Mel. Hey Mel, y'all was showing out last night. Hey, happy Friday.
Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday.
All right, go ahead, Rod. One mic.
Right, so I'm looking at a copy of the CIA report that Thies believes that he quoted about Israel
instilling fissionable material or uranium in 1965, and it says there's no credible evidence that it was released. Now I don't know if how useful this report is from the CIA.gov, but that's what it says. And in the event, basically that's it. I mean, nobody knows that Israel has any of their weapons. Nobody's ever seen them. And most of it's just sort of conspiracy theories. Now, it's possible that Israel may have them. I don't know. But as far as any other evidence that I've looked up on the internet, nobody says that it has it. And I don't think that anybody has a quote-unquote God-given right to just build nuclear weapons. One of the reasons why we have such restrictions on certain weapons is because they are so dangerous that they can cause cataclysmic issues in society, right? Just one nuclear bomb in the middle of anywhere can cause a drift of humans to move from one place to another, and also cause damage to the atmosphere as we know it. Unfortunately, it seems that based off of what I know who live in Iran and who live in Iran that I've spoken to, the current regime is not a type of regime that you want to trust. I understand that some of us have issues with America and what America has done throughout history, but I do think that there are some bad people that you can trust to some extent, and there's some bad people that you don't fully understand. And I think that people in the West really don't understand what it is to live in certain environments, especially those that are controlled by a particular type of religious ideology. And unfortunately, that is the current situation of the Iranian regime. And again, when we say the regime, the Ayatollah, and not necessarily the people or the government, but the supreme leader of religious ideology.
Can I jump in now? I mean, I just wanted to mention, well done, Ron, for saying that. But also, I just want to say, Fires mentioned something earlier. He said that Israel has attacked 6 countries in however many years, and Iran has not attacked one. Well, I'll tell you where you're completely wrong here, Fires, is that the reason why these countries have been attacked is because Iran has been funding and projecting its proxies and promoting its proxies through these countries. If you take a look at all the countries that have been attacked by Israel, it is effectively those terrorist organizations that have been set up and funded by Iran. Okay, that is the only reason why Israel has had to constantly defend itself. The only reason why Israel has had to do that is because of Iran, all right? So when you talk about the idea that Iran has never attacked another country, Iran has done it in such a way that it's hidden its vicious intent from the rest of the world in the way in which it's doing exactly the same thing with its nuclear program. And for you to sit there and say, so what if it's making 60% of enrichment uranium? Well, the 60% of enrichment uranium is specifically for it to be handed over to its proxies, so its proxies can then use it to attack the rest of the world. And believe you me, it's not only Israel they want, it's the West. And they've made it very clear. And then to sit there and say that they don't want to attack anybody, they don't have any intention to attack anybody, when the Ayatollah himself turns around and says, death to America, death to Israel.
Who are you to determine other people's life and other people's project? Who are you to determine that? That's the point. Who are you?
Am I? I'll tell you who I am. I am the person who's going to protect my next of kin from somebody who says they want to take my life. That's who I am. Who are you to tell me that you want to take my life?
Can the mods let me? I would like to respond to Ron and Pikachu. Okay, I think it's okay to respond. Ron, you mentioned about you do not know whether Israel has nuclear weapons or not. See, nobody knows, but everybody thinks, most of the analysts and experts think Israel has nuclear weapons. That's why everybody has been asking that Israel should sign the NPT and allow IAEA inspectors to inspect its sites so that it can be clear whether it has nuclear weapons or not. And here's the point. If Israel doesn't have nuclear weapons, why doesn't it allow the IAEA to do the inspections? It has nothing to fear if it doesn't have the nuclear weapons. Then as far as Pikaju, your point is concerned, here's my answer. Okay, yes, Iran has been empowering Hezbollah, Hamas, and other organizations, just as Israel has been empowering Al-Qaeda and ISIS in Syria. And I think Iran did the right thing by empowering Hezbollah and Hamas because they are resistance forces. They may be terrorist organizations for you, but for me, they were fighting an occupation. Okay, and both of them, incidentally, were born in the 1980s, Hezbollah and Hamas, whereas Israel was born in 1948. Okay, so that shows that they were a product of something. What was that something? That something was oppression and occupation by Israel. Otherwise, Hezbollah and Hamas would not have been born. Okay, and I see nothing wrong in Israel, in Iran, supporting these organizations and helping them. And I would like Iran to continue to do so, just like America does it to Israel. So why should I have a problem with that? And I feel threatened. You kept saying
somebody supporting somebody.
No, Pikaju, I didn't complete. Pikaju, I didn't complete. Please. I'm coming to that. Okay, they have. Everybody feels threatened by what Israel will do next. Okay, you're talking about they shouted death to America. Ayatollah shouted. Somebody said death to Israel. Okay, there are 24 Israeli ministers right now who are saying that every Palestinian should be annihilated. Every Palestinian, including Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, Smotrich.
That is false.
No, what is false? People can you can do your hasbara as much as
Please
possible.
don't interrupt again. Go
There
ahead,
is
finish up. You
Google.
got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, there is Google, there is AI, there is Chat GPT. People can check what the Israeli leaders have been saying. So according to your logic, Pikaju, Palestinians, because they are being threatened with death, they have a right to annihilate Israel then. That's what you are saying.
Well, you heard it all here, folks. You heard Fayez saying, I'm in full support of Iran continuing with its death threat to America and Israel. Congratulations, Fayez.
Yeah,
You showed
let me respond.
I
didn't say that. I said I support Iran supporting Hamas and Hezbollah.
No,
That's it.
you don't even have to correct yourself. We know what you said. Like, when people say stuff like that, it just lets us know how fucking off base you are with where
Sure,
everybody
Sydney.
else is
First
at.
of all, don't come off your mic and tell me.
No,
Don't
you don't have to correct yourself. We heard what you said.
Sydney.
All right, listen. Y'all gotta chill back. All right, cool. Like, listen, today is the day of Sabbath. All right, for those that practice. If you don't, then that's fine, but still respect others. All this hostility is giving me anxiety, and I don't need anxiety because then that means I can't rest in my femininity, right? So you guys want me to talk soft to you? You want me to be nice and kind? I need you guys to do the same to each other. All right? When you guys come off a mic and you start interrupting, that's you're not holding your border. Okay, who's that? Who's that?
This is
So you can have a seat.
And he's not even.
Okay, you need to have a seat in the audience too. Thank you. Go ahead, little Ashy. I'm not going to take disrespect because I don't disrespect people. But if you disrespect me, I definitely will return in kind. Thank you. The conversation was going good. Guys, just let one another talk one at a time. And Mods, if you're there, I need your help. I need to get ready for something. Hey, Dr. Goddess, how are you? Happy Saturday. Ash, I see you flashing your mic. But there was a conversation. Okay, Sydney, I see you flashing your mic. Sweet was actually the first person that asked, could he speak? So we're going to go to Sweet, Ash, Sydney. But Sydney, you just got on stage and you're starting to pick a fight. I don't know what's going on. Be nice. You got a sunshine, smiley face on there. Keep it that way. All right, Sweet. On mic on you.
Absolutely. For those of us, again, I know Robert took an issue with me saying the fact that
inside America right now, wherever you live, California, LA, New York, whatever it is, you're not involved. We're not, actively like how our people over here dying. Yeah, so the point is being drawn into this war as Americans, American people, American soldiers actually now, and so many generations now have understood America's not trying to get engaged actively, personally in any foreign wars. Okay, so we can bring peace, that's one thing. But I wanted to say that because to say that when any people that recognize who is fueling who, and we're watching these individuals that can't talk. A lot of times they come in the clubhouse, it gets so charged because they're in the trenches and their rational abilities aren't present because they're in the trenches. And when you're in the trenches, your rational abilities are out the window. You're just trying to hurl bombs at them real quick and kill them before they kill you. So of course, both sides we're watching want to exterminate the other. And so we're watching that, but there's also the idea, which is fine in one sense. If that's what y'all want to do, that's fine. But the rest of the world that's not engaged in that at all in America, that physically the 300 million are not the ones in that, but to sign up in the military and then to be over there now you lose your life. At some point you say, why did my son lose his life? What the hell? Was that the best move? To have him enlist to go over there and two other countries and histories and they can't get along? If they're going to self-destruct, what the hell is the reason that now, even though we know the details, America's back in Israel, these details do matter. But when you start talking about you're living your life on a whole other page, people have cleared the brush in America to have some elbow room. Thank God I'm in America. Cool, I can do this, I can do that. It's the best place on the planet. But now you got to go over here and lose your life. And so the details matter. Before you say, I'm going to put my life on the line, the story does matter. Even though those players that are in the trenches, they can't rationalize anymore. And one side saying, hey, I'm going to defend myself. And it's to the point now where we're watching the game of who's defending themselves. It comes a point when they get to swinging and throwing blows and dropping bombs, it's hard to remember, for those that don't really know, who's really defending themselves. That's why it does matter that Iran has not actually done it. Oh, I thought you were going to hit me, so I hit you first. But you look like you're getting upset about what I'm doing to your cousin, so I'm going to come throw these, I'm going to go drop these bombs on you, and then when you retaliate, and you say, okay, and you retaliate, now you want to still play victim? It doesn't work anywhere on the planet. They were not messing with you. If they decide to build up whatever the hell they want to build up, like any other country on the planet. But what makes sense is you're saying as those that already have it, America, whoever, we get to determine whether you get to have them or not. Doesn't matter about the facts of the history. And that's what you're asking the planet to understand, I think, America, is don't care about the whole history. Don't care about the moral stance. Don't care about the right to return. Don't care about any of these well-grooved in conversations while this whole thing has been unfolding since 47 and before. Hitler is a part of this conversation because of the extermination and now secular Zionism. Zionism, that's why I like what the man said earlier, where he called it out like that's an oxymoron. You can't have it both ways. Secular, don't believe in any religion, but then Zionism, which is all about, hey, this is all right because of what has happened in history and Moses. And so you see a game being played. And so meanwhile, though, all of this is happening. So fast forward to right now, in a week or two or tomorrow, who knows when, could be after 2 weeks, we never know with Donald Trump. But the idea is if he says we're going to use these B-1 bombers and goes over there, it is on in a way where you cannot put those worms back in the bottle ever. This is a unique time on this planet. I don't know any study of history where these countries have nuclear energy and Hiroshima is one thing, okay, good. But now a lot of different countries. That's all. Okay, let me wrap up. So, last few seconds here. So this is what we're watching. So Those two may not ever agree, Iran, Israel, but the reality is us as Americans right now, we have American passports. Now Donald Trump is looking at seriously going over there and putting a lot of troops in harm's way, and who knows whatever else Iran can touch and their allies if he decides we're going to do this B-1 bomber thing and blow up. What's that one with the F? The spot where they got to go down 90, whatever, they got to go down pretty far to debunk the whole thing. If he decides to do that, Iran has made it very clear, okay, we're going to do whatever we're going to do after that.
Ash, Sydney. Oh my God.
I just want to say something. You, not you yourself, you who live in Colorado, who live in Oregon, who live in Miami, who live Iranian people, they are part of your society, and you mix with them and you live with them. Iranian people, I'm not fanatic, I hate the Khamenei regime, but this doesn't give permission. There is many things that the Israeli or the Israeli occupied force country, they dismantle our society and the system and the world system. First of all, attacking nuclear facility. This is not allowed in nowhere by nowhere. Nowhere and nowhere it's not allowed. See that? Genocide, starving people. They dismantle everything. I don't know. We see that they take the world. Really, I saw campaign on TikTok and everywhere that people say, Iran, just finish the job. Just do it. Just do it. Why? Because this aggressor cannot stop. This Benjamin Maladetto Netanyahu, to stay in power and stay out of jail, he has to stay always, continuously in fucking war. And he told the United States, Iran never can fucking arrive to the United States. They never have a problem with the United States. The truth of the United States, they are in the Gulf area, in all the Gulf country, and the biggest base of United States in the Gulf, it's in Qatar. They never had a problem. Never had a problem.
I'm jumping after this guy.
Now we have, just a second and I will laugh. Now, because of Israel, we have to go in war. Guys, go in war against Iran that doesn't present any threat to the United States. It's just because some fucking oligarch, they want to interrupt the communication or the trade between China and Russia arriving to Europe is to dismantle Iran. Iran learned from the lesson of Iraq. Iran saw what's happening in Iraq. Iran doesn't need a nuclear bomb. Doesn't need. All of us, we saw Iran doesn't need a nuclear bomb. Iran, with the supersonic missile, they can flat it all the cities, major cities, Israel, or we can call it in Palestine, occupied terrain. But United States got pulled in this mess. I don't see any benefit for you or for anyone. Have a parent, have a children, have a cousin, live in the Gulf area, because this Gulf area and this Gulf country, they are dismembered, and it's a fire. It's the real fire war. If Israel try to pull United States inside, it's going to be messy. And there's no need for us to take Iran. There is fatwa of coming. That is, we are not allowed to build a nuclear bomb. there is nothing can change that. And this for everyone. And the United States, it was interrogation for representative of the CIA, and they declared Iran doesn't build nuclear bomb. This is 10 weeks ago. And you can search and you'll find. We do it, this scenario, we already have seen it before in Iraq. Don't follow, don't lose yourself in this bullshit of Netanyahu. Netanyahu will drag all the world to the world end to stay in power and stay alive, doing fucking whatever you want. With your money,
land your plane.
So with your money, my money.
Yeah, so, okay. All right, you landed real quick. So,
hold on. Unless you're
I get.
Unless you're a mod. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's all good what he's trying to say and what you're saying, right? Israel is definitely provoking shit, but let's not act like Iran is clean. Okay? You said that Iran has never did anything to U.S. soldiers. That's bullshit. So don't come on the stage lying and giving false information. Because go all throughout Iraq, who was sponsoring shit? Who's funding them? Who's getting IEDs?
Could you place a link?
Let me follow up.
Iranian soldiers hanno presentato the present Rick for the US United States soldier involved.
Don't speak over me. So you didn't hear me say anything about Iranian soldiers. I said Iran. So don't play fucking dumb and act like the nation of Iran does not fund this shit. Okay, yeah, Israel is definitely in the wrong right now, but don't come here acting like you're fucking a victim of that and trying to.
Give me a link, man. Give me a link. I'm not speaking about you. Give me a link that Iran present threat to the United States.
Let me jump in. I was in the queue. If you're done,
go ahead.
Okay. So first I want to say, Fayaz, when I jumped in earlier, I was agreeing with you. Like, I was trying to bring, like, this fact, like, dudes, like, I just want you to know you heard it here first. Like, it's okay to chant death to America. That's, like, the stupidest, most asinine argument. I mean, like, my entire lifetime, I've been hearing conservative war hawks talk about erase Iran off the map, and that hasn't happened. And I don't know anybody personally or anybody in my extended friend groups who believe Iran should be erased off the map, but that's something that you will hear on the news. Like I said, I'm 42, my entire lifetime. If you were from somewhere else, you would think every American wants Iran erased off the map. It's absolutely not true. So making some stupid ass argument about hearing the Ayatollah say death to America, like, to me, that just doesn't make any sense. But to address what you just said real quick, Haitian, we gassed Saddam Hussein up to invade Iran in the 80s. After the revolution, we told them, we lied to them, said Iran was weak, now's the time to pounce. We funded him, gassed him up, and sent him in there to get his ass kicked. So, like, that was what we did to them. Like, if we want to talk about who has proxies, who's funding what, like, we are the proxy kings. Like, that shit is over there because we are the original proxy. Like, we set up all the original proxies in the Middle East when we knocked over Iran in the first place for British Petroleum in the UK. Like, so we could talk about, like, who did what first and this and that. Like, okay, that's a stupid circular conversation that we could get in. What's happening right now is you have an attack from Israel on Iran's nuclear facilities, and the pretext is from Benjamin Milikowski. This nigga's name is not Netanyahu, okay? He's an Eastern European, okay? Ever since 95, damn near my whole life, as long as I can remember seeing news, they've been 2-3 months away from getting a nuke. My whole fucking life, this dude has come on the news at least 20 times over the past 35 years talking about they're 2-3 weeks away from getting a nuke. And we've already been through this. Like, we went through this in Iraq. WMDs. Do you want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud over New York? All this fucking rhetoric. We went through this, and I thought we'd healed from this. I mean, the Republicans are now, they consider themselves an anti-war party. If you had to ask Republicans 3 weeks ago what they thought about a war with Iran, their number one line was, like, America first, we're done fighting other people's wars. Tulsi Gabbard, 10 weeks ago, no nuclear program. The intelligence community agrees. No nuclear program whatsoever. And now here we are, like, literally discussing, should Iran be able to have a nuke? Like this is like an educated conversation that we're having with each other. Like, should we allow them to have a nuke? Like, come on, like, how gullible are we? Like, how stupid are we? And then when you look at Iran and how they've conducted themselves over the last 40 years, I see no more of a rational, calculated actor in the Middle East than the way Iran has acted. I mean, you would think that they couldn't even touch Israel the way after Soleimani got bopped. And back in October, when they sent over a few drones and, like, you know, I think they hit a military base or something. They might have landed like 10 hits in all of Israel. You would have thought they couldn't even empty out the city of Haifa like they've just done. Like they are raining hell down on Israel. These people have been acting in a cult, like a calculated, very thoughtful manner. These people aren't fanatics. But let these, like that dude who's trying to get us hyped up on the Ayatollah chant death to America, let people like him tell it. These people who have been acting like the most rational people in the Middle East, let them tell it. They get a nuke. The first thing they're doing is sending a nuclear bomb to Israel to wipe it off the map so they can enjoy mutually assured destruction and have their entire society wiped out. We're supposed to believe they're Islamic radical fundamentalists and crazy fucking nut jobs, but we don't see them acting like that. And we're supposed to go to war to prevent these radical fucking fanatics from getting a bomb because, like I said, let people tell it as soon as they get a bomb, the world is over and shit. Like, this shit makes no sense. And if anybody's awake, they'll know that this is all just bullshit propaganda designed to get your head mixed up in a blender. But all you have to do is have your fucking eyes open and have been paying attention for the last 20-some years to know this is all bullshit. Milikowski is trying to get us into his bullshit because he's got a death penchant for wiping Iran off the face of the earth. That's all it is.
Yeah. Can I respond to that? No, not respond to, actually, to be honest, to add on to what Sydney said. Sydney, I agree with most of the points that you made, okay? I mean, almost all the points that you made. So here's the solution that I think should resolve all the problems. So it's whatever you say, whatever we talk about. It was Israel that attacked Iran on the 13th of this month, okay? It could have waited for 3 days for the last round of negotiations to take place from the 16th onwards. But it did not wait. Milošević had to do this war for his own survival, like you said, and he did. So what's the way forward? The way forward, in my opinion, is not more and more American sons and daughters dying for Israel. American children have died enough number of times, more than required number of times for Israel. And Americans have spent enough money for Israel. I think it needs to stop, because as long as a country, why don't other countries go to wars? You know, that's because war costs money. And Israel doesn't have to worry about money. Israelis don't have to worry about their taxpayers going for tax money going for war. They don't have to worry about it because you Americans take care of them, take care of their wars, their bombs. So they don't have to worry about it. The day Israelis have to worry about their tax money going for war and they do not have medical aid, free education, that's the day wars started by Israel will stop.
Amen. And we need that to happen ASAP. From now going forward, any congressperson that supports Israel, I'm not voting for them. I don't give a shit.
Trump, you're voting for Trump. Trump's supposed to show that you're talking about schools.
Odie, from now going forward, any person that supports Israel I know. Hey, Odie, I just said from now going forward, right? From now going forward, any person, any congressman, any senator, any state, I don't care what level, supports Israel, I'm not voting for them. I need people to be American.
Hold on, don't be.
I am over it.
People told you about Trump's support for Israel. Miriam, I just seen the Jewish, you could hear that most of the people that were supporting Trump were on that side, but you still voted for him. You're just a hypocrite. Don't come and tell me anything.
No, not because I'm a hypocrite. No. Because majority of MAGA voters, people who voted for this Make America Great movement, voted for Trump under the pretense that Trump was going to put America first. No, he's putting Israel first.
Just a quick one. Dumpy, aka Mama.
Did he vote for Trump?
Yeah, he voted for Trump. Dumpy, are you trying to be disingenuous here?
Lisa, leave my friend alone. Wait a minute, what's going on?
Sorry,
Don't do that.
That was my own personal response to somebody who voted for Trump. That's it. It had nothing to do with nobody on the stage at all.
Sorry,
Okay, that's your friend? Okay.
It's nice to meet your brother. I have to sympathize with you.
You'll love Dawn, Lisa.
Oh, I love them? Let me go get some parts around here.
School, my brother. School, my brother. Yeah, I'm Christian. School, you know what makes me laugh is that we had this argument, me and you. I was not in the room because we had this argument about Trump and Israel, and you turned a blind eye. You claimed, it's not going to happen. And I was listing the names of Jewish billionaires that were supporting. Do you know how much Miriam Alderson gave Trump to school? Do you know how much she gave Trump? One person. Do you know how much she gave Trump? $100 million. And she said that she wants West Bank. So please don't come here and pretend. Thank you. God bless.
Odion, I have a question for you. Iran, the war against Iran, it's good for American people or not? One question, just simple question. Just give me an answer.
It's not good for American
people. The population, not for, no, I'm talking about the American population. It's good for American population.
It's not good for
Trump go to strike.
There is no war that is good for any population. I don't know what war is good for anyone.
No, I just want to hear the answer from Odion because it looks like people, you vote for Trump to finish the war. But basically, as how we see, that there is a wing that take Trump to war, and the MAGA, in some kind of how, they try to adapt it. But the current is too strong. We are against fucking war. So I'm asking all you, is a war, if Trump, he go in war against Iran, it's good for the American people or not? It's a simple question. I want to hear the answer.
I don't support Trump, so I don't know why you're asking me that question.
But war is good for your economy. This is the thing in there. This is the country, United States is meaning the whole economy of the country is based on wars. So basically, when war happens outside your country, your economy runs. So technically, you guys should support this. But as a human, you guys shouldn't. So that's kind of a paradox living you guys have there.
No, because United States and Israel's economy are dependent on the weapons industry. You are right. But not every country is like that. There are countries that have built their economies on things other than weapons, okay? But one thing I disagree with you, just because wars happen, they do not help all the populations of United States. Okay, the oligarchs, the people who control the bourses, they make money. Okay, the ordinary folks do not benefit from it.
Yeah, let me say this on the response to war is good for your economy. You should support war, bro. What's good for your economy is doing justice by people and ingenuity and studying and learning and figuring out ways to be creative and look out for the people and best practices, bro. Miss me with this concept. War is good for your economy. If that ain't a devil talking, I don't know what that is. That idea, that concept, war is good for your economy because you can build more weapons and McDonnell Douglas and Boeing, and you can be hiring employees. And, bro, that divisive mindset, destruction, subtraction, miss me with that, bro. What's good for your economy is doing the right thing by people. How about that? Justice. And there's plenty to go around, and there's land that's not even being utilized yet. And there's all kind of opportunities, and you can spread out. You don't have to all just be packed in one little bitty area. What's good for your economy is do the right thing, bro. I know that's a foreign concept to some people, especially looking at events over the last how many thousand years. But believe it or not, we're going to get to that point where it's going to be good for your economy not to be having people wanting to kill your ass because you're doing unjust things. That's not good for your economy, bro.
So war
but statistically, they recently have asked Americans that, you know, it was a survey that they asked the Americans about the invasion to Iran, and apparently 60% of the Americans actually they agreed that you know, they should attack Iran.
Well, nobody I know got that survey. Nobody I know got that survey. So let's take it into consideration. How many people were in that survey, bro? So there's 300 million people. How many people were in that survey?
I don't know, but this was from an official, you know, source actually. It came out. But anyway, if this is not the case, now here's the thing. This is what I don't get here. If this is not the case, then why does not the people of America uprise against their government?
Because the politics of America is very complicated, bro, and it's a lot of BS that goes on in America. Believe it.
I know it's complicated, but
I know you want a quick answer. A one-sentence answer. Electoral college. There's a lot we could talk about, bro, about whose voices get heard and, you know, old boy networks and secret society. There's a lot of shit we could cover, but that's a long answer, believe it or not.
So,
Zamaga has been infiltrated by AIPAC.
Yeah, okay, so
it's a question for everybody in the room. Zamaga is being infiltrated by the AIPAC. It's not Zionist.
Can you guys just like one talk at a time?
I'm trying. War is not good for your economy when it's on your grounds and you're in the middle of it. A couple of things. One, taxpayers' dollars don't go to Israel for weapons. America and Israel has some sort of negotiation where they buy weapons from America. Those are not America's taxpayers' dollars going to Israel. And two, Israel doesn't make its own weapons. It makes cybersecurity software mostly and various other software. So it's more of a software industry and not a hardware industry where America's military industrial companies are hardware companies. So I think actually a lot of countries in the Middle East are throughout the world buy weapons from America, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, and a few other places. So those get shipped on the black market and they get sent to various other places. So I guess if you want America to stop selling weapons to Israel, they should stop.
So just to correct the record, if we're talking about the largest recipients of aid, foreign aid in America, that is Israel, it's about $380 billion a year, right? Half of that is military alone. So it's been that way for about 30 years.
Yeah, and it's been that way because we've been invested in that. You're right. It has been that way, so we haven't tried a whole different approach yet. Certain people don't have an idea to know how to build an economy on doing the right thing. You're right. But others have a real strong understanding of that doesn't have to be that way. There's a whole lot of economy. There's a whole lot of distribution. There's a whole lot of space. There's a whole lot that could be created. And many are still holding on to that idea. So when the idea of division runs out of juice and bombing and everybody submits under this one person, when that runs out of juice and it becomes understood, they could never pull that all the way off. There's just going to be this one leader that was the most corrupt, that could run through the most, that could just kill off the other ones before they get killed off. And even though they didn't start any, even though they just post up, and going back to like my man brought out Sydney, the real lineage of who this man Netanyahu is that's usurped Israel. There's some real good people in Israel that will never get a voice because of Netanyahu. They will never get a chance. Just like in America. You got the masses. You probably got a 1 percentile, Netanyahu in that boat, for sure, that are actually jacking this whole thing up. And when the 90 percentile, now see, you don't even get a voice if you're in Gaza or certain everyday person in Iran. What are they going to do? They just fight over there in Israel, push back on America. So this is what's going on. The world is watching people kill themselves off. And a lot of us are getting caught up in it, but really are completely not on that page. And our hands are not all bloodied up, but not like that. Shit, maybe somebody stole some cookies or something like that, but they've never been in a position to actually do this kind of shit. And those individuals should be held accountable. There's a universal government out here, United Nations and this and that, and war crimes. If you know any bit of history, you know that in the act of doing some of these war crimes, they don't get punished. But as we look back later on and say, oh, that was some real jacked up stuff right there that they did. And that was clearly understood. So the talking points in the immediacy is one thing, but there's also the understanding that, bro, where is your end game with your devilishment? How about being a better neighbor? You teach that to your people in Israel, don't you, Netanyahu? Be a better person. Be a good neighbor. Have the coffee shop and, just show up. And you can't extend that thought beyond your borders, or you just want to extend the borders and kill off everything else so you can just spread that the way you want to spread it all over the planet Earth. The rest of the Earth has been at peace a long time, bro. Believe it or not. Even though you may not speak their language, you may not understand their history, they've been at peace and they've been doing some great stuff, Egypt and a lot of people, and Kim, they've been doing some great stuff before you say. All right, let me. I'm just wanting to throw that in the atmosphere because I hear a lot of it.
So I find his obsession with Netanyahu to be very interesting. Like, he's the only one person in the majority of the state of Israel don't like him.
Yeah, he's just some little bitty guy.
Yeah, so people protest, people protest him and his government all the time. He's probably not well liked, but he is kind of well trusted in some ways because of his stance on aspects of security, right? Previously, before October 7th. So, I mean, even in current projections, if there were elections soon or now, then he would be out of office. It would probably be his last term since he's like 75 or 76. So, but I think that people who have never been to Israel don't know anything else about the area or region kind of this obsession or a weird obsession with some world leader they don't know anything about. It's actually quite bad.
Yeah, it's fascinating me too that over here in America and watching America getting drawn into something. Actually, that's never been over there.
So
that's fascinating to me.
I find this argument so. I mean, and I'm not to say that Americans center themselves too much when it comes to Israel, but there are people that don't need to care about Israel or Iran, can just support Israel based on their own views, and there's nothing wrong. Like, the reason why Americans care so much about is the influence of Israel in America. But really, all these ideas that neighbors live in peace, it's not entirely true. Neighbors don't really live in peace. Neighbors just have deterrence. Right? Neighbors just have deterrence. If you try nonsense, you fight. I mean, the world over, people have fought wars. So this very idea that somehow, a lot of people are so invested in. Listen, Iran and Israel can bomb themselves to death. I don't care. Like, I'm indifferent. Like, those people are not part of my problems. I mean, I'm American now, so maybe I should care more. But I'm not invested in Middle Eastern crisis. There's some big boogeyman. There's one control running somewhere. It's not entirely true. People can bring the same information with you. Read more information, and still come to the same old conclusion if they didn't read any information at all. So my point is, all this, there's some boogie or what? There are ongoing crises. There's Congo crisis. There's Sudan crisis. There are many crises in Nigeria. 200 people were killed and burnt to death. Let me rephrase that. Were killed and burnt to death. Yeah. Nobody cares.
Well,
nobody's worried.
I'm sure they'll go over there.
We must worry about this. I just think it's just because America is involved. If not, all this, we care about humanity. I'm sorry. It's just that people are just invested because of America is involved. If not,
well, welcome to America. Welcome to America, and enjoy the peace that's here that a lot of people have fought for. Thank you. Welcome.
So, Odie, I was going to actually brought this up yesterday. People don't really give a shit about liberating the Iranian people from the regime, and when people
just 1 minute. Let me just say this. I wanted to make that point.
You were done.
Okay, sorry. I have a Iranian colleague. If he has views about, when I say colleagues, we work in the same office. I don't even speak to her. So I wonder if he has views about Iran. You would think she's Jewish. She's so anti-Khomeini. She wishes the worst for him. I'm like, why? Do you support? Anyway, she has no feelings towards the government of Iran. Now, I said the government of Iran. She despises the government of Iran with a passion. Anyway, mother, you can.
So I was gonna say, so here's the thing, right? Everyone knows the Iranian regime kind of sucks, but this whole notion that we're going over there to bring freedom and liberate the Iranian people is just horseshit. They have been. Why haven't we attacked earlier if that was the case? And I think when the Jews come on this app and parrot that talking point, it just reeks of bullshit. Like, no one is believing this shit, right? There are plenty of places on the planet that are under shitty regimes that we don't give a fuck about, right? So the logic doesn't make any sense to me. And the second thing I was gonna say, I put this in the chat. But apparently American B-2 bombers have left Missouri and are flying to Guam currently. So it looks like we might actually bomb the fuck out of Iran.
Yeah. So I think that Odie, hold on, let someone who hasn't spoken in 3 hours respond to Odie. I think, Odie, you're completely correct and you recognize the truth. Because you're not American, you recognize the truth. The reason why American leftists are protesting over the situation in the Middle East is specifically because of the leftist agenda. It has nothing to do with humanitarian concerns. And the proof is, in the Congo Civil War, there are two black groups killing each other. More than 1 million people, more than 1 million innocent people have been killed in Africa. Not a single clubhouse leftist gives a shit. Not a single clubhouse progressive. The clubhouse progressive community is 100% in favor of white genocide. And I'll post the link. That's why they're involved in the Mideast. Because in Africa, there's no white people doing the killing. Because no white people are doing the killing, no one on Clubhouse gives a fuck about what's going on in Africa. The goal is not to prevent genocide. The goal is white hatred. I'll post the link to prove it. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get to the rest of the world soon. Sure, I'm sure. As a planet, we'll get to the injustices that are going on. I appreciate you having such desire to clear up Africa as well. We know the colonialization of Africa, so that's another conversation later on. The divide and conquer element. But yeah, we're trying to stay focused right now with what's going on in Iran. I'm sorry.
Let me just mention something so important. Did you know that if any country attacks the other country's nuclear facility, it would be violation against the national security resolutions, and this in kind of it's very odd that Israel was exonerated from these laws, because you're not allowed to attack any nuclear facility because of the danger, like Chernobyl that had happened. So right now, Fordo, as you know, that they have plutonium enrichment sites down there. So if they attack Fordo, then the alpha radiation would have emitted, and it would be a lot of danger out there. So basically, what Israel is doing is against the whole national security and the whole national United Nations laws. And it's very funny that they didn't actually condemn Israel by doing that. This is so weird. Like if it was any other country, they would have taken less than 1 day that country would have been attacked, or it would have been condemned. But in this case, we don't see any action from the United Nations or the Europeans or any of them. This is so crazy. So this is actually tells you that how much the world is not real, and it's crazy. It's a crazy place. It's not there at all. So
against Jewish lawyers is better than your lawyers.
Sorry?
Well, we see that Israel, the state, dismantle all the warlike system, doing genocide in Gaza, starvation, killing.
No, I know that, but I know about Gaza, but you cannot attack any nuclear facility in other countries. This is against all the laws that has been all the resolutions that they had in the United Nations. But we don't see any reaction through the Israelis. This is odd. This is very bizarre.
And people act like this is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Is it genocide action? It's worse than attacking nuke facility, but we saw that the world and the world system doesn't have upper hand on Israel. Israel state they basically dismantle all the law, fucking up all the system.
So last time they bombed Natanz. So last time they bombed Natanz is the second largest, and the dude right now told you guys the B-2 bombers they lift off. They're flying toward Garcia Island from I don't know from where. From the United States, and these I think there's 6 of them, and each one of them can carry about a couple of these very big bunker buster bombs, and so I think they're about to invade the Fordo facility. That is the key area that Israel is.
You're exactly right. Like we saw how the world went crazy when that shit happened in Fukushima. Like we know what happened. We know the potential disaster. We know all the potential disaster that can come from like these malfunctioning nuclear facilities. So you're exactly right. Like the attack of nuclear facilities is written into the UN charter, not written into the actual charter, but there are international laws against doing that. Nobody seems to give a fuck right now. Another thing that's super interesting is Fordow is projected to be at least 250 to 300 feet underground. The massive ordnance penetrator, the 30,000 pound bunker buster, that can only go 200 feet. So in order to reach something deeper than 200 feet with it, you have to drop multiple of them on the same spot. So you got to drill it over and over and over again. So like just the idea of like hitting a nuclear facility on that level, and like nobody's talking about the environmental fallout, like nobody's talking about the danger that poses to the Gulf. Like the Gulf is like a low current area. It's not some like high current area. Like it's a pretty kind of stable, like lakeish, like water system. Like to bomb something on the level that Moab would the damage that those weapons would cause, the amount of fissile and radiation material that would spread throughout the environment and end up in the Gulf for who knows how long, that shit would just sit there. Like this is a massive environmental thing, that a massive environmental disaster that like people are calling for. And to me, it's just so fucking ridiculous because, like I said earlier, like we bought into this idea. We bought into this idea that these people are like radical fundamentalist retards that can't wait to die and shit. But like I said, like all you have to do is just look at how they've acted over the last 40 years. They have acted like the most rational actor in the Middle East as long as I've been alive. And like I said before, I'll just reiterate it. Before 6-7 days ago, you would have thought like Iran couldn't touch anybody. So like to me, this just adds to the amount of restraint that I feel like these people have, because they've been getting hit and they've had their airspace incurred upon. They've been getting struck randomly every year, every other year, damn near as long as I've been alive. And you would have thought that they couldn't touch anybody. And now we see them emptying out Israeli cities. Like, these people have capabilities, and they have been very rational and very calculated in the way that they have responded to any violation of their sovereignty. Furthermore, if you are just a rational actor and you look at what happens when the United States convinces you to dismantle your weapons program, look what happened to Gaddafi in Libya. He agreed to stop pursuing nuclear energy and nuclear weapons. His ass was gone not 10 years later. Like, but look at North Korea. As soon as they got a bomb, you hadn't even heard about North Korea in the news. Like, that's the way you get people to stop fucking with you, is to get a bomb. And if there's anybody that I could see that just wants people to stop fucking with them, it's Iran. So, like, that's what you do. You get the bomb and people stop fucking with you. And the crazy thing is that these people aren't even trying to pursue a fucking bomb. Like, the whole world knows it. They've allowed inspectors in. Like, we know what they're doing. We know the capabilities of their program. Like, we know where their enrichment sites are. They don't have a weapons program. Like, we know this shit. But turn on the fucking news for a second, you hear a bunch of nuts talking about we can't afford to let them have a bomb. Somebody posted a poll where most Americans agree that Iran should not be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Why the fuck do we think that they shouldn't be able to have a nuclear weapon? If you're not an idiot, you would just be like, anybody who doesn't want to get fucked with anymore should get a nuclear weapon. Like, that's exactly what you should be doing. But here, once again, we've got this rational actor who knows that their pursuit of this weapon will probably bring them more destruction in the short to medium term than they're willing to endure. They don't even have an active nuclear weapons program. Like, I just don't see anybody more rational right now than Iran, and I see these nuts over here in Israel literally trying to drag the world into another world war. It's just so stupid.
Like, Israel is a country of like 7 to 9 million people, and Iran is a country of like 90 million people. And
that's why they shouldn't be poking the bear. That's why they shouldn't be poking the bear.
Do you think that and Israel is currently a country that is at war on 3 other fronts with proxies that are paid by Iran specifically? So do you think that it's just like Israel like just wanting a forward
occupied force in lands that it's not them? And this is not me saying Israel.
What are you saying?
In the land.
What are you saying?
This is not me who say it. It's the UN.
What are you saying?
That what I'm saying that Israeli forces, they occupied the Palestinian land. They are not legal.
So the same United Nations that had a vote in 1947 and recognized Israel as a state, as well as had a vote for a Palestinian state, and did not recognize a Palestinian state, is now saying that Israel is a illegal state.
No. Don't skip. Where do you want?
No. Don't skip. Latin American countries come from the same, but your country is a colonialist state, right? Your state shouldn't exist. In 1947, Israel had a vote for both the state of Israel and for the state of Palestine. The state of Israel was accepted by a majority of states that voted in favor of it, and the state of Palestine was rejected from it, right? Unfortunately, even they rejected it themselves for whatever reason, right? So it could have been that there were 1948 borders that would have existed for a Palestinian state, and unfortunately that doesn't exist. And also they had the opportunity somewhere between also in 1948 and 1967, they also had an opportunity to create a statewide, because the Arab countries, Egypt and Jordan, held on to the land that became the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Those territories were in the property of our possession of Egypt and Jordan exclusively. They could have made a state out of those by simply declaring themselves as such. Yeah, they chose not to. Egypt and Jordan also decided not to declare them as such.
They decided to not become radical like we're watching Israel become. They decided to be peaceful partners. They decided to let these people be there with the behest, with the guidance, with Winston Churchill, with the British. They allowed all of that to happen, bro. So don't make them faulty because they didn't operate in a real devilish way. Don't do that, man. That's what you're trying to do, Ron. Let me say it. If you let me talk, If you let me talk, I'll tell you.
Land, please.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, sir. I understand you're vested for whatever reason in that position that you're in. But the facts are that those people over there in 47, 48, there was definitely a pushback in general. And so what history has now taught us is they didn't all unify and say, hey, let's get rid of these bad actors. Let's go ahead. And they didn't do that, man. They gave peace a chance. They gave it the benefit of the doubt. And so here we are in 2025, man. And we're watching, like Sydney brought out, the last 6 countries, these countries that Israel is running through. The world is watching this, man. And you know what they always come back to? Well, hey, we got more power. We're able to do it. And that's been the only real position. Well, we can do it. We're worried about them. We don't want to talk to them. We don't want to do a two-state anything. We don't want to actually be good neighbors. And we're not going to respect them. That history is long and strong. And for you to continue to ignore that all the way to the point now where, again, the world has to just, all these conversations are about one thing, to stop something from happening, that if it happens, it won't be like Hiroshima. Because Japan decided, hey, throw my hands up. Hey, all right, my bad, you beat us to the punch. What you want to do? Come on in, MacArthur. That's not going to be the way this shit plays out, man. It's a different time frame, 2025. That was a whole different thing, atomic energy and so on and so forth. That was at that point. But fast forward, here we are, bro. Here we are now with this real reality of this one earth, man, behind the thoughts of Neptune, well, I don't want to call him that, but Benjamin. What was his name, Sydney? Don't tell you, put it in the chat. Mulowski, whatever. But this one dude, man, of course he's got a lot of backing, but he's the face of it. History will say, is it just him? Is it just Trump? No, the face of this, though, we can clearly see as our life. They'll be 100 years from now. This thing will still be here some kind of way. I don't know how. I believe in that. I have to figure that out. But all I'm saying is they'll look back on this day, and they're going to sit here and question everybody on this stage and everything that was here. Like, there was no power to check them. It's biblical, bro. And so what I'm telling you, though, is those of us that are trying to say, hold up, man, hold the hell up, because once it goes there, unlike voting for Trump or Kamala, it's not going to matter, bro. All that's going to matter is that shit is affecting the planet, and it's in motion in ways you can't put back in the bottle. The fact that you would try to argue to promote, let's just go bomb them, let's just go get rid of them, shows who you are in history, in a historical sense. Who you are, man. You're arguing to just set it off.
Are you talking about me direct?
Hold on, relax, bro. Just slow it, then it doesn't apply to you.
Talking about me
specifically. It doesn't apply to you, bro. Thank you. And so the reality is, bro, even if, like my man said, Sydney said, even if you feel you've been done wrong, Israel, you should not be promoting, go bomb the hell out of them. Bro, because if you honestly think all that makes sense is, only thing that makes sense about that argument is this. Well, we don't have any peaceful future on this planet. So America, come on over here and let's shoot this one shot and all of this. And either we're going to come out victorious and run the whole planet together, me and you, Trump, or if the planet's going to be jacked up. And if either way, we don't care. It's what we're watching, bro. That's what a planet is watching. Like, we set it off and, oh, well, it's just a kinder box and just bam, and it's just fireworks in ways that you can't even imagine. I can't even imagine, but those that understand that. So if you're not vested in peace at all, and it's going to be your way or no way, well then yeah, come on, Trump, help us, back us, man. You got our back, just like Winston Churchill. If you got our back, we're just going to keep doing this, man. But meanwhile, the 90 percentile, probably 95 percentile of the earth is like, bro, we're not going to just sit back and watch this, and we know who the exact actors are that are pushing this. That's going to play out, bro. If any of us live to see it, I don't know. But none of us know what's going to happen tomorrow, tonight, 5 hours from now, 10 minutes from now. But Trump might decide to do it. Somebody just said the troops are being deployed or something. Somebody just mentioned something. I need to catch it all. Doing something. But the point is, bro, once it goes to a certain point, you can't pull it back. That's the whole point, bro. And everybody's going to say it wasn't worth it. However you're trying to rationalize it, it wasn't worth it. And the causation will be, Netanyahu, you set that shit off, bro. Your fear, you're scared, they're going to get this. They hadn't done anything, but you went ahead and pushed them like you pushed all them other people around you in Israel. And now you went over there and hit them. And they saying, okay, but we were trying to be real peaceful. We watched what you did to our cousins, and we didn't even come and unload our shit on you like we could have, man. But now you took that kindness for weakness, and now you over here fucking with us, going to try to do the same shit. And the world is saying, bro, it's going to be way more complicated didn't happen.
What troops are being deployed?
Somebody else is mind, please.
B-2 bombers were being deployed.
I heard troops. TROO.
Well, okay, somebody got to fly these planes. I call them troops.
I think you misunderstood.
I just want to clarify.
Someone said B-2 bombers are going to like Guam, and then someone said they might be going to DRC.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was just arguing that people have to actually.
That's amazing. The answer to your word was the moving of the B-52 or B-2. That's amazing. That's a fucking amazing answer. You know, we do what we want. We have control of the most powerful country in the world and the most powerful army in the world. This is his answer. That's fucking shocking, man. That's fucking shocking, man. I can't believe that. You tell me that you're going to open the box of Pandora with support of the United States and put the United States in another fucking shitty hole that no one knows where it's in. And why? Because of the fucking Israel. Because of the fucking Benjamin Netanyahu that he want to escape from the prison because he's corrupted and we have to keep him in power. How we can keep him in power? He come out and he say some part of Isaiah. We're gonna fight the jihad. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me, man? What has to do the American people with the fucking Iranian and population? What you know about Iranian people? How many people live in Iran? How many kind of ethnic belief live in Iran? Dismantle Iran. You open the box of Pandora. That's not gonna be peace on this land, never ever anymore. And I don't think that Trump is stupid that much because he went in the Situation Room and he had a meeting with Gorilla, that's how they call him. And he explained to him, we have this country, Saudi Arabia, Emirati Arabi, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait. This family will be exterminated. They will run away because this area will be dismantled. Why? Because Iranian, they will fermentate every American base there. Because moving the B-2, that is strategic bomb, that has to be militarized. Moving the B-2 and its group to go to the direction of Iran, China, and Russia, they will figure it out. And Iran, they will figure it out. So, fighting against the Houthis, you fucked up. Because they hate Nimitz, they hate Roosevelt, they hate all of this, and in the end, Trump, he want to make peace with the Houthis. That's part of Yemen. That when they done it in the Red Sea, they fucked it up around all Europe and the world. And now you go to fight with the fucking Iran, man. And you understand that? So we're gonna expect it, because basically the Houthis, with all the video that is being put it under check, it's real. Houthis, they hate the Roosevelt and Nimitz. So now you go to fight it. So we have to expect to see Roosevelt and Nimitz and all the aircraft with 3,000 people fucking die for the fucking Israel motherfucker Netanyahu. Are you fucking kidding me, man? I am shocked with what I'm hearing here. Are you serious? Because this can't stay